On Spectrum.
Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle, Week 7 of high school football all across the state of Ohio, and some games wrapped up earlier, some afternoon games specifically in the Senate, as Glenville defeated JFK. The 200th win for Coach Ted Ginn Sr., who joins us on the phone. Teddy, congratulations, man. Happy for you.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Hey, tell me some of the things that that are going well as you've gotten into Senate play for the Tarbletters here in 2017.
Well, you know, obviously what's going well, we're getting a few wins here and there. You know, still trying to grow as a team, trying to mature, trying to be fundamentally sound, hoping that we can win out and get into the playoff and try to do a little something in that. But basically just trying to grow, you know, and it's tough when, you know, I think this is the first year, 20 years, I had to just really build a team from scratch, you know, because we only had 4 or 5 guys that actually played last year, you know, but wasn't too many starters.
Ted, this is Nate in studio. Hey, I'm just curious. I got a chance to come out there for a little bit. They were calling you Grandpa. Tell me, you know, what was it like after the final whistle blew at the end of the game for you there?
Well, you know, I wasn't aware of nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it was all new to me. I didn't know why all those people was out there. You know, so I wasn't really aware. So after the game, I didn't realize, I didn't know none of that. You know, I was just moving along and so they told me what it was about. I didn't know they threw that water on me. I didn't know what that was for. you know, so I wasn't really aware. So, you know, I'm just basically trying to get over there because, you know, this was the last day that the seniors will ever play on this field again. So, you know, it's always a special day for me to see the kids. You know, you'll never come this way again. So I kind of, you know, that's a special day for me.
Hey, Ted, you had the 3 games that were really tough early in the year. How did that prepare you for the Senate? I mean, you played, you know, Menor, you played St. Edge, played Euclid. How'd that prepare you? And did you see the team kind of grow with those tough games?
Well, I mean, I saw us grow. I saw us grow doing those games, you know. But it's kind of really well, certain teams I play like Euclid and St. Ed's, you know, it's kind of a tough game for the kids today to play with all the different, you know, pressures of these teams. You know, I've basically been used to just playing football, you know, taking the kids, go out and play football and compete. It's a different pressure now for the children. I have to do a lot of repairing of the kids after the game if they don't win, you know. So it's a little different mindset now because of it's so much that people are doing, you know, as far as, you know, who got the best team. You know, nothing changes for me. I'm still here to save their life and stuff like that, you know. So I don't really get into all that, but that's what bothers me a little bit now, you know, because sometimes football gets in the way of what the purpose is.
Coach, 200 wins. I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite?
Do you have a favorite win? Favorite win that stands out among the 200?
I would think, it's always that first playoff game to me was Shaker. That one always stick in my mind. That was when the expectation wasn't there, and we was able to go in that hostile environment. Being a first Senate school to ever go into the playoffs and knock off the #1 seed in the entire state of Ohio. And it was one of the greatest experiences for the kids and for our community. And that will always probably be the best win. But, when you put them all together, they all is favorite, because when you work with children from where we come from and try to put a belief in their mind, it's always special. And all of them have their own identity. So they're all really special, but if I had to pick one, it probably would be that one.
Hey, Ted, I know you guys were a little banged up. Are you getting healthy? How is this year's team's health, and how happy are you with the way they've responded in Senate League?
I'm pretty happy, but you always got to remember not to regress. But we still trying to grow every week and every opportunity that we can. So it's always that issue when you go into the Senate, because they put so much in those first three, and if we don't, even if we win them, you got to look. You got to try not to regress, because you go into play.
Ted Ginn, appreciate the time. Congratulations on number 200. I'm sure we will see you down the road here in the next couple of weeks. Congratulations, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Ted Ginn, head coach of the Glenville Tarblooders. So a heck of a job. And you can see that message has been consistent for the 20-some years he's been there. It has not changed a bit.
Yeah, and so many great names have come through that program too, including Ted, including his son, and just every year, whether it's you got big name Division I recruits that are going to Ohio State and maybe the NFL down the road, and maybe some years you don't. It's the same guy. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it doesn't change. It's the same guy no matter the talent level.
And I'm sure he's got to be proud just to see at the end of the year, when those guys are signing off their letters, when they're all graduating, because he also, runs Ginn Academy as well.
Yep.
So, whether it's on the field or off the field, he's really active in a lot of these students' lives as well. But no, just when I took a brief visit out there to Bump Taylor Field, a lot of them got a chance to come up there and talk about Coach and what they meant, especially him and the coaching staff, and just making jokes, as we were talking earlier, calling him Grandpa and everything. So, they really love him. He loves them. And, now next thing is, now that this 200 win is out of the way now, let's see what's next for the Tarblooders. So.
Let's check in on the phone. Ryan Isley is covering the Canton McKinley Massillon-Jackson game and joins us on the phone. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, guys. We're at halftime here down at Jackson, where the Canton McKinley Bulldogs lead Jackson 14-10 after 2 quarters of play. It's been a very closely contested ball game, just like last year between these two teams, a game that McKinley won 19-14. The one thing for Jackson tonight is, unlike last year, they were able to score on their first drive. They've converted a 4th down, the conversion for a touchdown. Those are the things that shot them in the foot last year. They turned it over on the first 3 possessions last year. They had a punt block last year. They couldn't convert on 2 4th downs last year. So Jackson has been making strides tonight, but they still trail by 4 at the half.
Hey, Ryan, this is Nate the Studio. Earlier before the game, you pointed out that Josh Chandler was back in the lineup or was warming up. Could you kind of share, what's his activity so far in this game, or if he's just kind of watching from afar?
Actually, Nate, he is not playing. They duped all of us. We were all in the press box watching, and he was going through full warm-ups in uniform before the game. Looked like he was going to play. He was out there with the team through all the team activities. We get down here, kickoff goes, and nobody sees Josh Chandler. So we have not seen him on the field yet today at all. So it looks like he's going to miss his 3rd consecutive game for the Bulldogs.
What has McKinley been able to do offensively without Chandler back there running I know he's a linebacker as well, but how have the Bulldogs been able to score?
Offensively, it's been their little speedy guys, which is something they've used a lot this year. They're running the football well. They're keeping the Jackson defense off balance. They've hit a few throws here and there, but again, actually both teams for the most part have run the football. I've been surprised, and I made that comment to somebody during the second quarter. I was surprised at how much they have run the football on both sides tonight. Even with Jarrett Pallotta and Elijah Curtis having good seasons, both teams seem offensively like they're okay running the football tonight. Now we'll see if that opens up in the second half, but so far it's been a ground attack on both sides.
Any defensive thing jump out for you, Ryan, as far as one of these defenses really kind of making their mark, or is it pretty even?
It's pretty even, but the one thing I will say is that Canton McKinley is doing to Jackson what they kind of did a few weeks ago to Hudson, which is get pressure on a really good quarterback and make him make split-second decisions. Jarrett Pallotta's made a lot of good plays in this game, but in the last series that they had the football, Canton McKinley really came after him and was able to force a punt by Jackson. And you could see it was the first time really that Pallotta looked a little bit out of sorts with pressure on him. And it was, again, the same thing they had kind of done a few weeks ago at Hudson, if you remember that ball game where their defense was just ferocious and unstoppable. But Jackson's offensive line, for the most part, has been able to withstand the pressure until really that last drive or so.
Ryan Isley, we appreciate the update. We will continue to check in with Ryan for the Canton McKinley Massillon Jackson, as McKinley leading 14-10 at halftime over Jackson. We're going to go back to the phones, check in with Stephen Means. He is watching Barberton take on St. Vincent-St. Mary. Stephen, what's going on with the Magic and the Fighting Irish?
Yeah, it looked like Barberton was going to run away with this game early on, scoring on their first two possessions, including a 50-yard touchdown pass from Zane Reese to Garrett Turnball. But St. Vincent-St. Mary's was able to weather that storm in the second quarter and pretty much took momentum in their favor going into halftime, scoring on a 20-yard pass from Luke Lindsay to Zachary Olsen. Defensively, the teams have been pretty even, to be honest with you, outside of Jeff Parker for Barberton, who got 2 interceptions and has also scored on the offensive end on a 1-yard touchdown.
As you look at it, how effective has Keys been running the football? Terrence Keys for St. Vincent-St. Mary.
They've been plugging away with him all game long, and he's got a 45-yarder, which set them up for their first touchdown in the first quarter. But, yeah, they've been plugging away with him. He's already up to about 15 or 16 carries tonight.
Is it a cumulative effect type of thing? You think that big offensive line may eventually wear Barberton down, or did you see any of that in the first half?
Yeah, you're seeing two different styles of play. You know, Barberton's quick, and they're trying to get out there and play as fast as humanly possible. And, you know, St. Vincent-St. Mary's slowing it down, being a little bit more between the tackles, being a little more rougher and using Keys, just pounding away with that offensive line and then throwing over the top and getting 20-yard passes like they did.
Stephen Means, we appreciate the update. We will check back in for more updates on the Barberton St. Vincent-St. Mary game. Another game that we're keeping an eye on, Lorain and Warrensville Heights. Our Dan Gilles is covering that one. What's going on with the Titans and Tigers, Dan?
Well, so far it's been all Lorain through the first half. They're up 21-0. Actually, probably should be a little bit more than that, but Dalen Dower, the standout running back for the Lorain, had 125 yards on his first 6 carries and 2 touchdowns, and then banged up his shoulder and has been a little bit mortal since then. Even got stopped on a 4th down and 1 inside of his 4-yard line just for halftime, whereas if this was first quarter, he would have scored easily. So pretty much that's been the tail of the game. Once his shoulder got a little banged up, it seemed like the offense couldn't get a whole lot going. But Warrensville, it's just been really tough for them to get anything going at all.
Have you been impressed with Lorain's defense? You know, Warrensville has some guys that can make plays. For them to be shutting out the Tigers, the Titans' defense has to be doing something right?
Oh, absolutely. There's been at least 5 sacks, a couple of negative runs. They had Warrensville's quarterback, Dante Norris, was injured early on. and they put in a sophomore, Devin Byers, and the change has been very, very noticeable. Byers has completed a few passes, but it's been tough for him. He doesn't possess the strong arm. A lot of short to intermediate routes, and they're bringing the pressure on him. In fact, one of his sacks was like a loss of 22 at one point. So I mean, it's been pretty tough for Warrensville, and that injury alone, didn't really help.
Dan Gilles, we appreciate the update. Lorain leading Warrensville Heights 21-0. We'll check back in with Dan later in the night. So a lot to digest there. Good for the Barberton Magic.
Yeah.
How about the Magic leading 21-14 at halftime?
And then, as Stephen was telling us, they're trying to use Terrence Keys. Just really give the ball to their big playmaker. And just pound away, and maybe they'll get something.
A big line and a big kid. That's what I'd be doing.
And then you try and take a shot over the top. That's what they did in the first half.
Yeah.
Barberton is capable of putting up a lot of points, but I think in this game in particular, I think they're just going to have to just try to stay ahead of the Fighting Irish in this game. As for the Irish on the other side of it, they're going to have to start making they're going to have to start taking some gambles in the passing game and try to go against this Barberton defense. So obviously this was a great game to probably be able to see here, but I think it's going to probably be a tight game, but probably not as many points as we've seen these two teams play and put up in the first 6 weeks here.
Well, we've been talking also as well Solon and Euclid. Solon trying to rally as Euclid had that 14-0 lead. See if the Solon Comets can get things done. The thing that they need to find a way to do is get the ball in Thomas Wilkes' hands. That's a guy that's a playmaker for them. Yeah,
and you can do it in a lot of different ways. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Of course, when he runs the ball, he's absolutely electric. And the thing about a guy like that is, sort of like Ronald Lee on the other side, he can be a big play back. He's not just a 3 yards in a cloud of dust back. You give him the ball, he can break one for 50 or 60. He can give you a big play equivalent to a pass. So, you want to stick with that a little bit and see if he can get you going, see if he can take the pressure off of JT Caver a little bit.
And the other thing is Euclid has gotten out to big leads and allowed teams to get back in it. That's something they obviously are going to want to correct.
Yeah, they'll let you back in the game. So Solon's just got to keep at it.
You got to find a way to get it.
Yep.
Yeah, and as superb as the Panthers' defense is, if you put them in an awkward situation, if you put them, it's going to make them hard for them to try to defend that end zone. So I think it started early in the game. It looks like Euclid is trying to cause enough confusion in that backfield with Wills, Caver, all those guys in the backfield trying to figure out what's going on. So, the defense is going to help you in this game, but, you got to be able to put some points on the board when you get there on the offense. So,
another game we've talked about, Wadsworth and North Royalton. Tight game, a tight game, which is a little bit of a surprise. It's not shocking, but Wadsworth's team that, with that win over Stowe, they've kind of vaulted themselves into, statewide prominence.
And I probably couldn't put my finger on what's going on with the Grizzlies right now, but just North Royalton, I'm thinking, you have a very slight chance of making the playoffs at this point afterwards, just because of the teams ahead of you and what you got to kind of fight for and what you need some help on with computer points. But Wadsworth, for me, it should have been kind of a game like, hey, we just continue doing what we're doing and try to improve on that defense as well. But right now, I'm curious to see how this game is going to end up between these Suburban League teams.
We're going to see a lot from Wadsworth over the next few weeks because North Royalton is a tough team. It's a team they should beat, but North Royalton's still a good team. Wadsworth hasn't faced really a close game yet this year. Even against Stowe, that was a 13-point game, but Wadsworth built a big lead in that game, and Stowe kind of closed it up late. They're going to finish with Twinsburg. Twinsburg's probably going to be 3-4 going into that game. Last I saw, they were getting blown out. But then they got Brecksville. They got Hudson to finish. So it doesn't get any easier for the Grizzlies as they kind of come down the stretch here. North Royalton is, at least last we saw, playing them very tight.
Well, Matt Goul is covering the Hoban Padua game, and he has this halftime report. Take it away, Matt.
Plans to study. We came to Archbishop Hoban's Dow Field tonight expecting a North Coast League showdown between 6-0 Padua and 5-1 Hoban. And it's been all nights. It hasn't even been close. After a 7-3 Hoban lead, it has been all nights after that. 42-3 is our halftime score. Tyrus Dickerson, junior running back for Hoban, with 2 touchdowns. Diamante Trainum, the sophomore fullback safety, 2 touchdowns. Shane Ham, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 to Garrett Hauser and another to Nate Bauer. And that's where we stand right now, 42-3 in favor of the Knights, the defending 2-time Division III state champions. We will have a running clock when this game starts in the second half. And just to run down a couple of stats for you real quick, Dickerson for Hoban, 8 carries, 111 yards. Knights have 187 yards rushing, 286 overall. Meanwhile, Padua, 50 yards rushing, 98 yards of total offense. Trent Kramer, 13 rushes for 45 yards. That Hoban defensive front, again, has shut down the running game. Also, they've closed down that passing game as well for Padua. Kevin Peterson has thrown, I believe, 1-2 interceptions at halftime for the Bruins. It looked like it could be a game early on. It was 7-3 as Padua got the game going. You might have saw the highlights. Sean Long with a sack on Ham early. But I'll tell you what, this Hoban offensive run game with that line has really controlled the flow of this game. As I said, we'll have the running clock to start the second half. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Goul for cleveland.com and Friday Night Huddle.
All right, Matt, and the Hoban Knights are a little angry that they're not in the top 10. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know that from a source, but I'm telling you they're playing like they're angry.
Dan, I've got your first pun for the night. When you have an offensive line that we've been talking about and you have a backfield with TNT, Trainum and Tyrus, you know, it's going to make it really hard for a team to be able to kind of stop this offense. So that's my pun for the
Would you say
TNT.
Would you say it's explosive?
Explosive.
Wow.
But yeah, no. See, Dave's not even having part of this. But no,
wow.
But obviously the offense, you know, is doing really well, and you know, it looks like they're trying to cruise on over to week 8 now at this point. So, but the Bruins right now, as we pointed out, you know, this is probably one of the biggest tests that they've seen so far, and I'm curious to see how they're going to just fare after this.
They've still got, you know, NDCL and a couple of pretty good teams coming up. So didn't go well, but again, this Hoban team they're legit. They're a legitimate Division II state title contender. I have no question about it. I've seen them, and they certainly look like it. They passed the eye test. Just ask the Bruins.
Well, and I'm sure that come the end of the year, they would love to play that St. Ignatius game again. Yeah, obviously they're not going to get to, but this is a team that could probably move up to Division I and compete in the Division I playoffs, and I'm sure they'd love to play St. Ignatius again now with, you know, a little more experience for their young quarterback, a little more time together, you know, with that new quarterback, with that new running back.
The defense is a little bit more cohesive because there's some new parts. All good stuff. Week 7 of high school football. We're getting into the second half. Some of the games that have running teams going will be ending soon. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out, along with Nick Cline and Dan Labbe from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We will be right back on Friday Night Huddle.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira! Awesome!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon. Glad you joined us here on Spectrum Sports and cleveland.com. One of the games we're following, Solon taking on Euclid. Our Bryant Kizer has been providing updates. He joins us now on the phone. Bryant, what's going on with the Comets and the Panthers?
We are at halftime, and Euclid Panthers lead 20-0 over the Solon Comets.
Wow, what has Euclid's defense been doing, Bryant?
They caused 3 interceptions. They picked the ball off, and they were stopping everything that Solon has thrown at them. Solon had a little momentum coming, looked like it, but every time they get down to the red zone, they cough up the football.
Has Aubrey Shabazz been doing a nice job? You had mentioned last time that Hale, normal quarterback, unable to go, so Shabazz steps in. How has he been doing?
Shabazz is doing pretty good. With the running back on Ronald Lee, he had a big run, and Brandon Wright finished off the run with a 17-yard touchdown run. So he's managed the game pretty much. he's not trying to do too much, and he's just managing the football game. And hey, for Ronald Lee, as the backfield, the speed that he has, I think he feels very comfortable.
Bryant, this is Nate in studio. I'm just curious about the backfield for Solon right now. How would you describe what's going right now? I mean, does it look like they know what they're doing? Is there any confusion, or is it just more so that Euclid defensive line that's causing trouble?
Well, the runner, Hicks, I believe the running back, he's been gaining some yards. He gained yards all the way down to the 1 yard line, and with the quarterback with Kizer, and at the end of the score at halftime, another drop pass in the end zone. They could have turned the game around right there. It could have still have been going in the locker room 20-0. They could have been going in the locker room 20-7, and they would have had the kickoff to start the second half. So I'd say Thomas Wilkes, he's starting to pick up some ground game.
As you look at it, Brian, is there anything that Solon can build on? Is there anything offensively? Is it if they eliminate some of their mistakes, they can get back in it? When you look at what Solon needs to do to get back in this, what comes to mind?
Yeah, they got a limited term to turn the interception. But a couple of those interceptions were still passes, and Solon got one back. And it looked like they was going to go in for the score before the halftime, but another incomplete pass. A nice pass by the quarterback, JT Kizer, in the end zone, but right off his hands, and we are going to halftime.
Brian Kizer, we appreciate the update. We will check back in as Solon tries to dig out of that 20-0 hole. Now the challenging thing is, you're talking about running clock if you give up another 10 points, and that goes in a hurry. The game just gets away in such a hurry.
Yeah, and the good thing for Solon is they get the ball to start the second half,
right,
as Brian told us, and it was a missed opportunity to make it 20-7, and he's right, that would have been a huge difference. 20-7 instead of 20-0. That's a big difference getting the football back. But we know Solon is capable of big plays, and we know they're capable of big plays in special teams. You go back to that Stowe game a few weeks ago. They got the ball to start the second half, trailing by 2 scores. Next thing you know, they're up. It took 2 possessions. They had a big play to start the second half, and then the next possession got another big play. So Solon's capable of it, and Thomas Wilkes is apparently having a pretty good game. So, like you said, the key is you can't let Euclid get 2 more scores. You got to get on the board on this first possession, and then just take it 1 possession at a time from there.
But it's not helping when you're not catching these passes.
Right.
Yeah.
That was probably the one thing I heard out of Bryant's analysis that I kind of took away and said, yeah, you're not going to win a game. You're not going to defend your conference title if you're not catching the pass. And especially throwing out, and if I'm right, 3 interceptions?
Self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
You can't turn the ball. Any level of football, when you give the ball back to the other team, you're going to lose. That's why people make a big deal about turnover margin. You are going to lose.
And this is a home game for Euclid as well.
Right.
So one, they want this more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
And the second, they want to be able to knock off last year's conference champions. But we also pointed out, they're trailing in the region. And they're playing right now that they say, look, hey, we want a playoff spot this year. So right now, Solon, if anything, they're giving them the pot and just saying, here you go.
Another game that we are keeping our eye on from the Federal League, North Canton Hoover taking on Uniontown Lake. Our student reporter, Jacob Scafidi, gives us an update from Hoover and Lake.
Welcome back to Lake Blue Streak Stadium. I'm Jacob Scafidi. It's 24-14 here, Hoover at the half. Lake got things started with a 60-yard screen pass early in the first quarter to go up 7-0. Then Hoover got the ball back, went down the field, couldn't get in the end zone, so they kicked the field goal. Lake then got the ball back. Hoover got a stop. Then Hoover proceeded to go get 2 rushing touchdowns. Then Lake hit a slant in the red zone for their second touchdown. Then Hoover hit a 60-yard pass near the end of half to give them the 24th point. A lot of defensive penalties, a lot of rushing yards for both teams, but it's also opening up the passing game. They're going play action a lot. So it'll be interesting here down the stretch to see what we got going on. Like I said, both these teams trying to get back in the win column. Should be a well-fought game in the second half. I'll see you after the game.
Well done, Jacob Scafidi. Let's head back to the phone, and we're going to check in with Austin Opfer. He is at the Wadsworth North Royalton game. Austin, what's going on with the Grizzlies and the Bears?
Wow, what a half of football. Only saw one punt, and it has been the Joey Bowman show so far. First half, he was 17 of 27 for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. The school record for Wadsworth is 404, so depending on if he plays, he will have a chance to break the single-game record. They've also gotten 9 catches out of Mitchell Blackburn for 180 yards. They've just been slinging it all over the yard, and they've been able to build a lead in the first half, 48-21.
48-21. Wow. So Joey Boffman, the quarterback / wrestler, looking like a quarterback. We had heard from Coach Todd a couple of weeks ago, if Boffman was 3 inches taller, you'd be talking about him as a can't-miss D1 quarterback prospect. Have you really seen his ability to throw the football here? It sounds like it from what you're telling me.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would have to agree with that statement. He is just making plays. Anytime it seems like North Royalton has him in the backfield, he comes out of it, scrambles, finds a guy downfield, and he has been tremendous. He's also got 74 yards rushing and another 2 scores, so he has been as advertised here in the first half.
Hey, Austin, this is Nate in studio. I'm just curious, earlier we saw like I think it was 7-7 tie at the beginning of the game. What exactly happened between then and 48-21? Yeah, I mean, we can tell Joey, but I mean, just what happened?
Yeah, North Royalton, they were looking really good. Their first 2 offensive drives, they scored and actually took the lead 14-10. Then after Wadsworth scored, to take the lead back. Unfortunately, North Royalton got inside, I think all the way down to the 25-yard line. 2 sacks pushed them back. They had to punt. And then on another drive, they stalled. And then, unfortunately, Joe Marusik threw a pick before half, which resulted in another field goal. But, yeah, I mean, if you give Wadsworth any opening, they take it and run with it. And that's what's happened in the second quarter, where they put up 31 points.
How has their defense been, Austin? We saw that North Royalton put those 7 on early. Has their defense done enough? Wadsworth's one of those teams, after that win against Stowe, that kind of vaulted up into the state rankings. What's their defense been like?
Yeah, their defense, I think they've done just enough. I mean, North Royalton has been able to move the ball. Marusik's made some great plays. I mean, he's got 174 yards and a touchdown at the half. It's just when they get inside Wadsworth territory, that's when the defense kind of stiffens for the Grizzlies, and that's kind of just been the difference. Another actual big play that occurred was when the Grizzlies took a 24-14 lead. The ensuing kickoff, it was a squib kick, and after it was fumbled around, Wadsworth recovered, and they scored like 3 plays later, and that was really a momentum changer.
Austin Opfer, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with him, updates on the Wadsworth and North Royalton game. So, Dan, the question is, did you start Joey Boffman in your fantasy high school football league? Because he's got a bunch of touchdowns.
Didn't Austin get a high-scoring game last week, too? He's like, I think we're paying him by the hour, maybe, because he is getting all these high-scoring games. Joey Boffman, unbelievable. That's really all you can say. 300-plus yards, approaching a school record, 74 on the ground. Nate, you asked, it was 7-7 at one point. Yeah. It looked like we were going to have a ball game, and Wadsworth just blew the doors off them.
Exactly, and that's what I was trying to figure out, like, what exactly was North Royalton doing,
So the turnover on the kickoff, that killed it. And they call Joey Boffman Joey Football. So that's all you need to know. That's from Wadsworth. We're going to check in a student perspective from this game. Connor Mills, take it away, Connor.
Connor Mills here at the North Royalton versus Wadsworth game. The score at halftime is Wadsworth 48, the North Royalton Bears 21. The Wadsworth offense has moved the ball efficiently, scoring on all of their possessions. As for North Royalton started off strong in the first quarter, but it seemed to struggle as of late. Some examples of this are turning the ball over on downs, having to punt in their own territory, in Wadsworth territory, throwing a costly interception at the end of the first half to allow Wadsworth to kick the last-second field goal. We'll see if North Royalton can come back, make their adjustments, fix their mistakes, and come back in the second half.
Well, Well done, Connor Mills, our student reporter from North Royalton. You know, Joey Boffman is a elite wrestler. Finished, I believe it was 5th in the Ironman, which that's the best wrestlers from across the country that descend on Walsh Jesuit. He finished 5th in the 170-pound category. That's normally the quarterbacks wrestle in like the 152.
Yeah.
170 is linebacker, big boy weight type class. I mean, 200's probably, but that's a big kid that is obviously not only physically tough, but mentally tough if you're wrestling at that level.
And a lot of times you see a kid like that, and if he's the quarterback, he's running the football over and over and over again. He's going to run it up the middle. He might have a little bit of an arm. We're seeing Joey Boffman throw for 300-plus yards. He's flirting with the school record at halftime, 48 points at halftime. They've scored over 40 points in every single one of their games. They're going to hit 50 most likely in this game for the 4th time this season. I mean, they're just blowing people out. They've only given up more than 20 points twice. That was to Nordonia and Stowe in back-to-back weeks.
And both of those were wide.
And of course, they've got
margins.
20. They've got 20 in this one, but again, this is a wide margin as well. So,
Coach
Wadsworth
Thompson
just keeps making statements every week.
And it's the 2nd year of a head coach's program. So think about, you know, he doesn't have an entire class that's playing and used to his system. Yeah. Think about what that's going to be like.
I was taking a look at North Royalton's schedule coming into this game, and in 3 of their losses, they came against some very tough quarterbacks. Corian Rice from Stowe, you have one from Hudson, you have one from Highland. As you're starting to paint the picture, when you have these programs that have like these, you know, established quarterbacks, North Royalton has struggled against these teams, and Joey Boffman is another case against the Bears right now. So at this rate, you know, North Royalton is probably going to take the L tonight. But Joey Boffman right now, I mean, he's definitely the key reason to this game here. So.
Another student reporter joins us, Matt Ganser from Bay High School. Bay taking on Normandy. Take it away, Matt.
Thanks, guys. The Bay Village Rockets are beating the Normandy Invaders 44-0 at halftime. It has been a very one-sided affair for the Rockets. Everything has been clicking on both sides of the ball. For the defense, they have forced numerous turnovers, which has led to the offense putting up 44 points. Senior running back Trey Pasoda has been running all over the Invaders, and they just have no answer to stop him. They continue this dominance in the second half. The defense is the key. They put a lot of pressure on the Normandy offense, and when the Normandy offense turns the ball over and cash in points, this game's pretty much over. Thanks, guys. Now back to you.
All right, Matt Ganser, our student reporter from Bay High School, Bay Rockets, getting it done.
So Normandy has dropped their last 3 games. It's already in their record. But, you know, one of the things I said about Bay coming into this game was that just to make sure that they don't commit any mistakes. That's the only thing that will kill you right now. And obviously it looks like they're taking care of the football right now, and it looks like they're taking care of every drive that they have right now. So Bay, it looks like they're on team on a mission right now after last year only reaching the first round of the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I mean, their path to the playoffs is pretty open right now. Path to 10-0 is a reality. This is just a football team that knows what they want to do, and they go out and do it every single week. And this is just another week. They jump out in the first half and all over Normandy on their way again.
Well, and you know, Normandy, great start to the season, ended that ridiculous losing streak that they were on. So, you know, give Brian Darden some time. He'll get the Invaders moving in the right direction. It's tough. It's a tough task, you know. The Bay Rockets have been very effective, not only this week, but, you know, they're a team you know what you're going to get, and the numbers aren't where they want to be for Normandy quite yet. They'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, we had him on the show after they broke that losing streak, and he mentioned, 30 kids.
Yeah.
And you're playing a team like Bay that
wants to be physical and run the football.
Physical and is going to wear you down. That's hard to beat when you don't have a lot of kids on that sideline.
They have a talented league as well at Great Lakes, with Bay, Rocky River, Leary Catholic. So I mean, they have some very tough teams that they need to. We're talking about Normandy, that they need to be able to find answers for when they play these teams. So
another game that we started to talk about a little bit. The Barberton Magic, St. Vincent-St. Mary. So the Magic able to get the early lead and take the lead into halftime, and that's something they want to make sure. Worst thing in the world is you fall behind St. Vincent-St. Mary, because then that big offensive line and that big running back, Terrence Keys, they can, saddle them up and ride them. If you're playing behind, you at least have to keep the prospect of throwing the football in line. And that's, you don't want to allow St. Vincent-St. Mary to feed Keys behind that big offensive line and not be worried about scoring.
And I can't recall a time that we've talked about it this season, Barberton has had to trail a team at all. I mean, I don't know. I have to think about that. But just, I feel like, they have a game plan coming in. They execute that. They go into halftime, make their adjustments, and they come back and they win these games. So right now, so long as they kind of keep that formula going, they should be fine.
And they're in this stretch, where they played Copley, they played Aurora. Now they're playing St. Vincent-St. Mary, and we're getting a very good look at who Barberton is before they kind of finish up their season with Talmadge, Kent, and Highland. They've kind of delivered on what they've wanted to do. And for St. Vincent-St. Mary, we know how difficult their schedule is each and every week. They've got Cincinnati LaSalle next. They've got to go to Massillon. They've got to play Ursuline. So this is kind of just the beginning for them after they got a win over Akron North last week and had their rival the week before that. So for St. Vincent-St. Mary, this is kind of a good way to kind of get going towards the end of their season.
One of the games we're tracking in the Federal League, Canton, McKinley, and Massillon, Jackson. McKinley led 14-10 at half. Jackson, their offense coming back. Quarterback Jared Pallotta, the UMass recruit, throws, and a nice catch by Zach Ballou, sliding in the end zone for the touchdown. And that will give the Jackson Polar Bears a 17-14 lead in the third quarter, as McKinley trying to hang on to that unbeaten status there.
I mean, for a team to be able to attack the McKinley defense, you need to be able to kind of spread them around, having them, kind of second guessing what they're doing. And one way you do that is throw Jared in this equation, kind of distributing the ball around. And right now it looks like they had an opportunity to kind of be able to get down the field and score, put some more points on the board and take the lead. So Jackson is very much in this game as well, considering Camp McKinley's stance right now in the region. But it's going to be another tight game as well. So
it kind of interesting is Matt Goul told us in this halftime update both teams were running the football, so you kind of knew, Jared Pallotta, you've got a weapon that you want to use if you're Massillon Jackson.
Yeah, and they'll get him going over the course of the game, and we saw there a nice throw into the end zone as the receiver helps him out going down to get the football. But if you're Jackson, you've got to be happy that you came out against McKinley. They wanted to run the ball. You returned the favor and ran the ball right back at them. And here you are in a low-scoring game against the team that has kind of owned you over the years. You've got to be happy with where you're at, that you're playing well, and that you've been up to the task to play this type of game. This isn't a shootout. This is a tough game, tough rivalry game, and they've been able to hang with McKinley in this type of game, and that's important for them.
Well, another game that we're tracking from the Suburban League, Nordonia and Brecksville, and Nordonia trying to get their first win of the season, and Levac a completed pass down near the first down marker. So the Knights moving again, as a nice job by the Nordonia Knights, hanging tough as they're trying to get that first win. Third down and a yard is what the Knights are looking at, running out of that spread formation offensively. And you see the back next to Levac is Niles Beverly. And he's in the free. Niles Beverly. Nice move down the sidelines. Runs out of bounds, but a first down inside the 20, down to the 15. As a nice run by the junior, Niles Beverly. So trying to get the lead here in the third quarter. Tie game at 21.
Nordonia playing well. You see a lot of hands on hips, too, on that Brecksville defense. You wonder if they're getting tired over there.
This time they swing it out to Beverly, and a nice job defensively. You saw the two defenders kind of break down, force them out of bounds. So it'll be second down and long. The interesting thing about Robbie Levac is just a junior, so kind of middle of your junior year, you want to see that growth, and I think you're starting to see that with him here. Second down, Levac. And he's pressured, and he's going down. Sacked back to the 25-yard line. First man there for the Knights was Beauchesne. So a nice job by the Bees, actually.
Defensively, I mean, that's what you want to do. They've gotten into the red zone. Now you want to tighten up a little bit, and at least you bent. Now you don't want to break.
Henry Carroll also in on that sack. So now third and long. They got to get inside the 10. Little screen pass, and it's off the mark. Fourth down long, and an interesting decision now. Do you have enough leg to go for the field goal? I'm guessing the offense is staying on the field.
That's what it looks like to this point. Listen, you're winless.
Yeah.
Take some shots.
Well, it looks like the T's coming out here. It will be
It looks like Levac is the holder. So you always got to keep that in mind.
It'll be a 38-yard field goal, we'll call it. They're spotting it at the 38-yard field goal. So snap is a little high, and the kick, no good.
Ooh, had the leg.
Wide right, yeah, plenty of leg. So the Knights cannot convert the field goal, so it remains a 21-all tie.
Great job by Brecksville there.
Yeah.
They got that sack. That sack changed that entire drive. It went from a possible touchdown to now a long field goal, and you see he pushes it to the right. And that's all she wrote for that possession.
That's those are the things that happen when you're trying to get that first win of the year. It looks like it's going well, and then negative play comes and sidetracks everything.
Yeah. And speaking of negative plays with Nordonia, I mean, they're 0-6 coming into this game. One of the big key things that has stopped them is they're committing a lot of turnovers, and they're not scoring on these drives. And as many points as they've been putting up this season, it's really kind of a sad case because that, as we've talked about some of the other teams, they kind of shoot yourself in the foot in these cases. So Nordonia right now, they're doing a great job kind of just hanging in tight right now with Brecksville. But Brecksville, right now they got to kind of play like we want to try to move up in the rankings right now for a playoff spot. So, but yeah, we're just going to kind of see what happens. But Nordonia right now, it looks like they're playing with some motivation. Obviously, they missed that field goal there, but I'm sure they're going to get another shot.
Well, another game we're tracking is the Solon Comets and the Euclid Panthers. Euclid, big lead, 20-0 at halftime. And the Panthers offense back at it in the third quarter. Ronald Lee, huge hole, and Ronald Lee gets into the end zone. So I'm sure Coach Jeff Rotsky very happy to see his Euclid Panthers moving the football, getting on the board in the third quarter, 27-0. We've mentioned Euclid trying to put two halves of football together, and if they do that, they're going to be a pretty dangerous football team.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Ronald Lee, who's over 1,000 yards already coming into this game, hit it last week, that gives you an opportunity to, when you got a big lead, you can run the clock out a little bit. And you see him get into the end zone there. And when you've got your backup quarterback in the game too, because C.J. Hale left the game, that gives you an opportunity to just turn and hand the ball off to Ronald Lee and let him just go to work, because he has just put up 200-yard game after 200-yard game, had a 300-yard game this year. So he's having an absolutely enormous year.
And Euclid just needs to turn that page on that whole second half. Mm-hmm. We're losing that type of lead thing.
Well,
so
by and large, if you do it once, you forget about it. Really, you know what I mean? Okay, we struggled, and now we've got it figured out. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Krista DeFini, our band correspondent, takes us to break. Week 7 of Friday Night Huddle. We'll continue here on Spectrum Sports and cleveland.com.
Halftime here at North Royalton. The score is Wadsworth 45 and North Royalton 21. The North Royalton band is up next, but they're going to be playing a pop rock show that I unfortunately can't show you guys because of their copyright laws. So I thought, why not hear a little bit of the Wadsworth marching band and see what they got going on.
Wednesday nights. Get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
School Sports, Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira! Awesome!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. Little suspense there we were building. Week 7 of high school football all across the Buckeye State, along with Dan Labbe and Nate Cline from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon, and guys, we touched on it a little bit, but nice job by Jackson to come back in that Federal League battle and take the lead. McKinley's a really good football team that hasn't really been pushed a lot this year, so you kind of knew in the Federal League they were going to get pushed some, but a nice job by the Polar Bears nonetheless.
Especially when they leave their home field as well. You know, they're on the road tonight playing the Polar Bears in this game. So, you know, we're going to kind of see. I mean, McKinley has the playmakers to be able to kind of put some more points on the board. But you know, historically, I mean, these two teams have always played some tight games. But, you know, it's going to be it's a Federal League game, and it's going to be really competitive. So,
I'm kind of surprised at you know, the margin in a couple of those, you know, Wadsworth and Hoban. Hoban Knights, they're starting to hit their stride. That's, you know, beware. If you have Hoban on your schedule, beware, because they had a solid core of senior type guys with Hauser and Bauer and those kind of guys, and the younger guys are starting to play.
Yeah, and they've had an opportunity. You know, settling in is the perfect way to put it. You know, they've had an opportunity. Yeah. You know, with their young quarterback to settle in. Shane Ham, he's got experience now. Not a ton, but he's got some experience. He's played some Friday nights now. Their running back Dickerson has had an opportunity to Tyrus Dickerson has had just big games. 138 rushing yards back against Mooney. Had 193 rushing yards a couple of weeks ago against St. V in a big rivalry game. So the one thing you know about Coach Terrell's offense is it is going to be balanced, and it's going to be a little more pro style than what you see in high school a lot of times. A lot of balance. Take some shots down the field, and they have a great receiver in Hauser. They've just got all the pieces they need to do what they need to do in the postseason and do what Coach Terrell wants to do. And the longer you can go letting him get comfortable, the more advantage you're going to have come, November and hopefully December.
And you're going to have a couple of running backs. It's not just going to be one. Trainium's another guy. He plays safety / linebacker. Played that as a freshman. Played in their playoff run as a freshman. So he's a physical kid that is a nice complement to Dickerson as well.
Yeah, and that defense. I mean, you mentioned him on defense. Plays linebacker, plays safety. They're so tough defensively. You just can't fall behind. You fall behind by 2 scores against them. You're not just going uphill. You're going up a steep hill.
It's hard to imagine a back-to-back state champion needing confidence. But I think after that week 1, when you have Danny Clark gone, Todd Sibley gone after a year, and you replace them with a couple, my TNT group and the running back, and then Shane Ham, putting over 300 yards up last week in their win. I slowly they've built this confidence now, and I think it's actually starting to, strike some fear, maybe even possibly in that league that they're playing right now. So it's a great sign to kind of see, a great sign I'm sure for the fans, for the Hoban Knights, to see what's going on right now as they're moving in here into week 8 after this one. So
and that defense is let's put it in perspective. They allowed 17 points to St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius is scoring in the 30s pretty consistently against the D1 schools they're playing against, the higher level D1 schools. And so that they held them to 17.
And Ignatius is so balanced.
And they scored late.
Yeah. I mean, Ignatius scored 17, and then it was 3, a shutout, 7. They gave up 20 to Lake Catholic, but they were losing in that game and then ran off 42 straight points. So they gave up the 20, and then they tightened the screws, and they shut Lake Catholic down. And they're doing the same thing to Padua tonight, who is a really good offensive team. They've got a good running game. They've got a good passing game. I mean, that is a balanced offensive football team that has put up a ton of points week after week after week. And Archbishop Hoban just doesn't care. And they're shutting them down.
And the Knights and the Wildcats have the same story. After that week 1 game that they played against each other, their offenses have gotten a little bit more confident. Their defenses are coming a little more stronger now. So, look out come, playoff time, these two teams, if you have to play them. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is you get comfortable. If you're Hoban, when you had Danny Clark, when you had Todd Sibley, you get comfortable with that because you know what they're going to do. You know exactly what they're going to give you week to week. So it is a little bit of a shock to the system. When you've got to come out that first week, you've got to play a team like St. Ignatius, and you don't know what you have in Shane Ham, and you don't know as much of what you have in that running game. You might know a little bit more, but you don't know as much as you'd like if we're not talking about guys that have been featured backs. So it just takes a little time to get comfortable with that, and I think they're probably starting to get there.
Well, we've talked a little bit about the Euclid Panthers and the Solon Comets. Euclid out to a pretty big lead, but the Solon Comets offense trying to fight back. Little swing pass from J.T. Caver, and he swings it out, and a nice run by Grant McCurry for the touchdown. That made it 27-7, but hang on. Back at it in the third quarter. Caver on the money. Trayvon Raphael, look at him in a phone booth, making moves down the sidelines. Another touchdown to cut it to a 2-possession game. So we had touched on it. You said it. They have the playmakers. Now it's still a 2-score game, but 27-14, much more manageable in the third quarter.
Yeah. Euclid's doing it again. They're doing it again in the second half. They're allowing these points to get scored on them again, and I'm just
play.
I'm just a spectator watching. I know Jeff Rodsky's got to be it's got to be killing him to see this, but I mean, the defense, Euclid's defense, they're still there, but it's just they can't allow these plays to get out. And the Solon, and I'm sure that he went back in halftime and they said, we've got to make some changes. And obviously we've seen a couple folks in that backfield already that's played a quarterback. So, it sounds like the game's getting a little bit tighter, so we'll see what happens. But right now, Solon is the conference champion, and right now Euclid's got to find a way to be able to knock them off tonight.
And I'd be curious to see if Solon has made an adjustment with the backup quarterback in there for Euclid. Are they stacking the box a little bit? Are they trying to take – I know we saw Ronald Lee get in the end zone earlier, but are they trying to take him away a little bit, make that backup quarterback beat them? Interesting to kind of see how that plays out.
He's a guy that can throw the ball. Hale is kind of a playmaker, dual threat guy. He can throw it, he can run it. Shabazz is more of a throw the ball first kind of guy. He's not, he plays in the slot, so he's obviously athletic, but the thing that it takes away is your kind of zone reads. Mm-hmm. He doesn't read as quickly because he's not asked to. He's playing different positions.
Yeah, and absolutely. I'm sure that they probably didn't go in the week and said, look, hey, I think we need to probably work out Shabazz a little bit more at quarterback for, after finding out about C.J. Hale to start the game tonight. So, right now, this is the position that Euclid's in right now. They need to figure out how they're going to respond to that against last year's conference champions.
Yeah, and you know what? That's good for Solon. And you're absolutely right. I bet you Jeff Rotsky is hoarse and from screaming, and he does have a tad of intensity to him on the sideline. A little bit.
No, I've never seen that from Coach Rotsky. He's always so calm and soothing, right? No.
I like his. I don't know if you probably look for the pictures. I like his little muscle shirts that sometimes he'll wear. So
you can always find him on that sideline. It just takes 2 seconds. Just watch the sideline. You'll find him prowling and, like you said, always very animated.
Well, the Solon defense forced Euclid to punt, and they have the ball on Euclid's half of the field. Caver taking a shot, and the coverage really good. And a nice job covering. That's Arquan Bush in coverage. So that's a D1 DB back there deep.
Seeing a lot of John going on out there between the DBs and the receivers. We saw the point on that last highlight.
That's
conference action. Back and forth there as that ball sailed out of bounds.
So ball's at the 45. So they're back at it, and the Comets really need it. Yes, 4 wides.
First down is they've started with the ball near midfield. Quick hitter to the left side.
And a little bubble screen, and he slips. I like the call because you're trying to get space.
Interesting play design there, but just couldn't.
Sam Bubonics with the reception. Couldn't cut up field.
Yeah. Turf can be a little slick sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can see the
this is some point. Oh, let's see, watch this play here.
Caver buys some time, throws underneath. It's complete, and a nice job again. That's Grant McCurry. First down.
Grant McCurry's made some big plays here in this half.
Chains move.
But see, the same way we kind of just talked about Euclid and these second half thing, the second half troubles. I'm starting to wonder now about the secondary now. Is that kind of a call of a question right now?
Well, they're thrown underneath, so here, what they're basically doing is they're spreading you out and they're trying to pick the matchup they like there. So 3 wides to the top of the screen and there's movement. So that's the type of thing that Coach Rotsky won't tolerate.
You know what was interesting is they kind of went out 3 wide. Euclid was sort of playing that a little strange. I don't know if they were protecting against a slant or a post route or something, but they really only had 2 guys out there and then a deep safety. And it's almost maybe fortunate they jumped off sides.
Well, that's what you're looking at, though. You're setting the 3 wides and you're picking the. And it's now they're getting the 3rd guy out. Back.
There's a lot of space to work, though. That's what Solon wants to do.
Sidelines open because they're playing inside. That's the end of the 3rd quarter, it looks like. So that one's getting real interesting. 27-14. Solon driving as they start the 4th quarter. They stick it in the end zone. It's a touchdown and a point after away from Solon taking the lead. And they were down 27-0.
Yeah.
Early in the 3rd quarter.
It was 20-0 at halftime, so they gave up a score already in the second half, and now they've been able to fight back. Like I talked about at the beginning, this is a playoff game. obviously both these teams are going to have games next week, but this is a playoff game. If you lose this game, it's going to be an uphill battle, especially because Solon's got Menor next week. Euclid's got Menor in a couple of weeks. So you've still got to play a really good Cardinals team. You lose this game, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you lose this game, and it really puts the vice on to beat Menor, and that's – you don't want to have to be in that situation. No. You really don't.
And you fall down 27-0 to Menor, you're done.
Right.
So Solon's got to do everything they can to get back in this game, and they're in a really good position with 12 minutes left.
Yeah, and just to give readers a point of reference again, Euclid is trailing. They're on the outside looking in right now as far as the computer points are concerned, and Solon holds one of those spots. So a win could help them advance. Now, the problem with Euclid right now, they're allowing a lot of points already in the second half. And then two, you're not being able to sustain these drives and scoring right now. And so they've got to be able to find answers for that here in the second half. Otherwise, Solon's going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to kind of pick apart your defense and try to put some more points on the board. So,
and again, there's basically 9. The 10th team in that region is further behind than anybody. So you're trying to not be the 9th team in Division I, Region 1, which right now it's Euclid. It could very well. Euclid's going to get some help from Glenville because every time a team you beat wins, you get second-level points. So there's a lot that's going into it, but what you want to make sure is you have everything that you can, that you do everything you can control to be in one of those top 8. Somebody that's a really good football team is going to be in that 9th spot and not be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts, but like you said, the one thing you can control is do you win or do you lose? Let's go back as Solon still with the football, and we will look in as Solon's taking on the Euclid Panthers. And here's a look as penalty on the play, and they're going to sort it out, and it's a personal foul. Looks like it's going to be offsetting. So you had mentioned kind of chippy, and that kind of lends what you were saying to. So they're going to end up, it's first down. So it's they're signaling first down. Ball is inside the 20 at the 18-yard line. So they stay on this 4-receiver set.
They're going to call a timeout. Euclid burns their first timeout.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're going to find a way to be able to stop. I mean, until you prove that you can stop that, they're going to keep running as much as they want to. So.
First down, maybe you got some room to run Thomas Wilkes here.
See, it's 1st and 10 from the 18. Well, again, they're there is the handoff to Wilkes, and he's inside the 10 down to about the 8.
Did you call him Mr. Roma?
And look at right back at it because they don't want to allow the defense any chance to really substitute or get their alignment changed. They like the look they had.
Wilkes, like the matchups out
he's got the corner. Wilkes gets into the end zone. Here come the Comets. Thomas Wilkes, I mean, that looked like it was strung out. That shows you the speed and the quickness of Thomas Wilkes. So they knocked that point after through. They're a touchdown and a point after away from taking the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a matchup game. You try and get numbers when you're running the ball like that, but sometimes you just got to count on a guy like Thomas Wilkes to say, I can get to the sideline, I can get to the end zone, I can just beat all 11 guys, just give me the football, and that's what they did. And credit to Coach McQuaid and his offensive staff to trust Thomas Wilkes in that situation and give him the ball in what was maybe more of a passing situation.
I don't know if I should give a thumbs up to Solon and the offense right now and how they're playing, or the thumbs down right now with Euclid. I mean, you're in week 7, you're getting ready for the playoffs. All that stuff should have been left back behind in the first 6 weeks of you giving up this many points in the second half and giving away a game. So, again, hats off to Solon for, still fighting right now here in the fourth quarter. But Euclid, I mean, they're going to have a conversation, I'm sure, at the end of this game. So
we're going to check in with Bryant Kizer. He's at the game, joins us on the phone. Bryant, what is your take on this one as Solon's stormed back here in the third quarter?
Like, remember that momentum shift I said it was toward the end of the second quarter? I think Solon figured it out, and then now they put it on them now. And handoff, I mean, that defense is swarming now.
Is that the biggest
shutting
difference?
down Ronald Lee right now.
Is that the biggest difference you've seen, Bryant? Is just the defense of Solon kind of getting after it finally?
Yeah, because they dare Shabazz to throw now. And C.J. Hill's not in the ball game, so now he makes him one-dimensional, and they put 4, 5, 6 guys in that box, daring Shabazz and Roski to throw the ball.
Have they turned the ball over at all, or has it been just quick three and out?
They had a turnover early in the third quarter, and Solon went down and scored. That's how they got their first touchdown.
Bryant, you mentioned that they're trying to make the quarterback beat them. Has Euclid stuck with the run regardless, or have they taken some shots?
They haven't taken those shots yet. They keep trying to get the ball to Ronald Lee. They throw a little screen pass, little read option, and that's not working. Because, Solon is playing up now. They're daring them to go deep. I don't think Shabazz has the arm like C.J. Hill has.
All right, Brian Kizer.
I haven't seen the arm yet. We're looking for it.
All right, Brian Kizer, we will check back in with you. Well, I mean, the other thing about that is Shabazz starts in the slot for him. So his practice time has been that of a wide receiver. I'm sure he gets some, but predominantly he's been a receiver. So, he has thrown a pass in a little gadget play that I've seen against St. Ignatius that was effective. And when you saw it, you're like, this kid can throw. So, I mean, he can do it. The problem is getting him on the same page with the receivers in games at game speed with, no time to work on it in practice.
Yeah, that's an issue. And plus, he's a weapon.
Yeah.
And you kind of take that weapon and now you're using him at quarterback. You don't have him on the outside anymore. You don't have him in the slot. So, it's going to be interesting to see if Coach Rotsky, Bryant kind of indicated they haven't tried to take a shot yet. And maybe that's just because they felt like keep that clock rolling a little bit, keep Solon off the field. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Rotsky does, in fact, take a shot at some point.
We are going to check in with Nordonia and Brecksville. The Knights have a lead, and they are in the red zone, and incomplete as Levac was trying to go to Ty Evans, dual threat guy. So 27-21, Nordonia leading Brecksville. Trying to get their first win of the year are the Knights, and they're inside the 20, and that would be if they could put that in the end zone, it's a 2-score deficit.
Yeah, they are.
Third down and 10, though.
Spoiler tonight.
Third down and 10. We already saw Knights missed a 39-yard field goal in one of our earlier look-ins. And there's a designed run inside the 10. Levac keeps the legs moving, and he's inside the 10, so now it's 4th down and about 3. Field goal would make it a 9-point lead.
And your kicker had the leg. It wasn't a distance issue, at least it didn't appear to be. So, you could probably trust him from this distance, and it looks like that's what they're going to do.
This will be about a 27-yard field goal. And it's Evan Weehee, Jr., who will try. Well, let's see.
Well, Levac is kind of dancing around over there. Like he's not getting down.
And now
there
he will.
Goes.
So it'll be a 20. It's actually a 26-yard field goal from where they have it. Low snap, and that one is knocked through. So that makes it a 30-21 lead as the Knights try to get win number 1. And boy, that would really hurt Brecksville as far as their playoff chances go. As they're trying to hang on to one of those spots in Division II.
I wouldn't want to be that team that gave up that win to the winless team in the week. Just you're like, oh, you guys lost to Nordonia. They haven't won a game, 6 weeks. So Nordonia right now is playing like they're fighting for something, even though right now they don't have they're not projected to make the playoffs right now just because of their record coming in. Now, Brecksville, on the other hand, they're kind of in a situation right now where they're like Euclid right now. They're looking like, what just happened in the second half that we gave up so many points to this team? So right now, Nordonia's in really good shape right now. But Brecksville's going to have to try to find some answers as well. So.
Well, they do have the throwing game. You know, Labbe and Gilles have been
they can get back in.
They can get in a hurry.
But it gets tough for Brecksville if they lose this game because they got to finish with Wadsworth and Stowe, 11-1 combined. And we have talked a lot about what Wadsworth can do. Stowe is rolling against Twinsburg, or at least was last time I checked. So it's a tough finish for Brecksville. And if they lose this game, and credit to Nordonia. Playing spoiler, that's what they're playing for the rest of this season, and give them credit.
And then the question is, and again, keep in mind, it's 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. Were they looking past Nordonia?
Yeah.
And
you see that 0, and maybe you don't realize how good they are.
We're going to get them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Nordonia team with some talent.
Yeah.
You know, even though they're 0-6, it's not like they're a team that has 0 talent. Levac has a good quarterback. It just hasn't gone their way a lot of this season. They've lost to some teams that are just clearly better than them, but they've been competitive in some other games.
And I'm glad you brought that up. There are some great teams that they've faced, but what's really killed them, what's really shot them in the foot, interceptions, fumbles, turnovers. That's what's really hurt them. And as you can see, it results in not a win in the first 6 weeks. And so it looks like they've been able to take care of the football so far against Brecksville, and here we are right now. They're winning.
And you look at the teams they played: 5-1, 5-1, 6-0, 5-1, 5-1. Brecksville's 4-2. Well, the worst team they've played is 3-3 Mayfield.
Well, that Suburban League it's brutal. Yeah. Everybody's good in the Suburban League this year. We are going to check back in our Federal League battle as Jackson and McKinley, a couple of Division I, Region I heavyweights, doing battle. And take a look at Javon Lewis. Oh, look at this. Spins out of tackles, and Lewis takes it in. What a run by Javon Lewis, running by the Massillon Jackson marching band and celebrating in the Polar Bears end zone. Canton McKinley opening up the 11-point lead, 28-17, an 11-point lead for Canton McKinley.
I think we'll see that play probably a little later.
Absolutely. He came into the game tonight with 418 yards this season. And Javon Lewis, they've been really relying on him, especially with Josh Chandler kind of in and out last week. So, McKinley, if they can find a way to keep that Jackson offense off the field, good for them. But when Jared steps on that field, good luck.
Well, they're going to be slinging the ball down 11 and close to the fourth quarter. They'll be throwing it a little bit, go up top. But you know what? The Bulldogs have enough guys that can play in the back half of the field.
Yeah.
It's all going to come down to, can you execute? They're not going to get out athlete. They have the guys in the back half of their defense that can stay with what Massillon or anybody has. So it's gonna come down to, do they make plays?
And we know that they can run the football too. So if their defense makes plays, they can get it back and they can turn to that run game.
Start eating the
clock.
out
the clock. They can turn in some big plays like that turn into points. And that is we don't talk about McKinley a lot. That is a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. They are really good this year.
So trying to stay unbeaten on the year and, up in that upper half of Division I, Region I, which would get them a first-round home game, which is what everybody wants. You don't want to get on a bus and go play a playoff game if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Back to the Nordonia Knights. They're playing to get off that 0. You know what I mean? That's motivation enough. It's, this hasn't gone the way we've wanted it to. It hasn't gone the way anybody expected it to. Change the 0. That's got to be the first mindset.
And you can turn your season around. You're not going to make the playoffs, but you can turn your season around. If it starts here against Brecksville, Cuyahoga Falls is coming into town.
Yep.
That's a team that is winless too, and I think they're probably going to drop to 0-7. I saw their score earlier. That's a game that you look at and say, okay, maybe we can get a second win if we upset Brecksville. You got North Royalton, you got Twinsburg. These are good teams, but these are teams you can be competitive with. And maybe you finish on a high note. Even though you started off 0-6, it's disappointing. Maybe you can finish with 2 or 3 wins and feel good, at least a little bit, about your season.
Dave brought up a great point, looking at Brecksville and maybe wondering, did they overlook this team? I really I like that point actually, because I mean you're young.
Yeah.
You're young. You're like, I don't know. I mean, we should be fine in the Suburban League. We'll get past them. But I think Nordonia. I think they took this as a mission. They said, look, if we can try to keep our turnovers down, we can win this game. And then look, Cuyahoga Falls is next. Let's see if we can get a win against them. But right now, it looks like they're taking care of business on the road. So,
well, we're going to take care of some business. We got to step aside and take a quick time out. Week 7 of high school football all across Ohio is wrapping up, along with Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, Nate Cline from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We will be right back here on Friday Night Huddle. Don't go anywhere.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Miro! That is awesome!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC, Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are 2 outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. One of the games we're keeping an eye on, Orange and West Geauga. Mike Peticca is at that game and joins us on the phone. Mike, what's going on with Orange and West G?
Well, Orange won what became a very entertaining game in the second half. Orange wins 27-20, the Lions' first win at West Geauga since 1988.
Wow. How did the Lions get it done?
Well, the game-winning play was with 2:35 left to go from its own 31-yard line. Orange got a 69-yard touchdown on a pass from Sean Borgman to Marvin Davies. Davies ran a wheel route to midfield where Borgman dropped the ball into the numbers and got it over a couple defenders, and Davies, a terrific athlete, sprinted the rest of the way for a touchdown. Earlier in the half, a 24-yard pass from Borgman to Davies for a touchdown gave Orange a 14-13 lead. That followed by just a couple plays, West Geauga taking a 13-7 lead early in the half when Matthew Stewart intercepted a pass and ran it back 23 yards for a touchdown. West Geauga tied the game with 3:28 to go, tied the game 20-20 on a 1-yard touchdown plunge by Michael Osters. That capped the drive where they converted a couple fourth down plays. So there was a pretty lot of drama packed into the last quarter or so.
Hey, Mike, this is Nate in studio. Quick question about Sam Borgman, who's the quarterback for Orange. What makes him so hard to stop for defense at all?
Yeah, he's pretty elusive, and the kid has like a 4.5 grade point average. Orange coach Adam Becklem pointed out, and he normally makes pretty good decisions. Tonight he threw 2 key interceptions that helped West Geauga make this a game that went down to the wire. And Coach Becklem said that, that's uncharacteristic for Sean, but he was very impressed about how he, stayed resilient, kept his head on the task at hand, and made some big plays late to help him win the game. That Borgman to Davies pass combination in the second half, 3 connections between the two for 128 total yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's something for future opponents, of course, to have to key on.
All right, Mike, we appreciate, again, Orange beats West Geauga. Well, one of the games we've been tracking all night long, Solon taking on Euclid, and the Comets have come all the way back. Wow. They have the lead, and now here is the play that gave them the lead. Kizer on the little zone read. JT Kizer takes it in for the touchdown, and that gives them the 28-27 lead. On the ensuing kickoff after the point after, you know, they've got some playmakers that run the football for the Euclid Panthers to the 40, out to midfield, and then brought down from behind at the kicker makes the tackle at the 30-yard line, but a heck of a run by Trayvon Lindsay, one of the wide receivers. So, in case you want to follow, Euclid inside the red zone, down by a point. Bryant Kizer joins us on the phone. Bryant, we send you these crazy games all along. Just another week at the office for you, huh?
Yeah, we tied downtown 8-8. Hey, we got to have a good game, man. This is what football is all about.
So we're
Big
actually
GCC battle.
We're actually looking in as we are talking to you. So the Panthers have the ball, 1st and 10 at the 20. What really jumped out about the second half for Solon with you?
Solon just, like I said, Solon just keyed on the quarterback. I mean, and Ronald Lee, they just dared it. Sebastian to throw. Here's his run in, and he's holding on to the ball and gets down to almost to the 10. He's a elusive little guy.
All right, Brian Kizer, we will check back in with you as you see a timeout there. As you know, if you're Solon, you've come all the way back.
Yeah.
You need to find a way to get your stop here.
Yeah, I mean, this is you'd hate to come back like this and you give up that big special teams play, and then you fall behind. That would just be that's incredibly deflating to work that hard to come back and fall behind. So this is a big possession. I don't know what Euclid's kicking game is like.
These greater Cleveland Conference games are living up to the hype, as we could tell right now, and so. You know, this score, you know, we'll see what happens after that and how much time is still left on the clock. But, yeah, Solon definitely, as hard as they fought back to get into this game, they did not need to give up that kickoff return. So we're going to see what happens, see how this plays out in the red zone.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting, you know, the timeout and then, you know, if you're Coach Rotsky, you can't worry about what's happened. You kind of got to start thinking forward. So you've got a chance to fix it, so go fix it.
The bottom line is win the game. You know, it doesn't matter how you win.
Yep.
You'll get, you know, you'll watch the film, you'll get to practice, you'll fix things, but it's a whole lot better to fix things when you make some mistakes and win than to have to fix things when you make mistakes and lose, especially in this region where 2 losses is just absolutely killer with the schedule that they have left in front of them as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you know we will check back in with that game when we can. But kind of interesting, just you know just the whole philosophy. They didn't get down; they came right back with the kickoff return, which is that's a really good sign. That's what good teams do. Okay, we messed up. You know, long zone read touchdown run by J.T. Caver, so the offense gets it rolling.
And when you have a bunch of guys that can make individual plays, that's what can happen. Mm-hmm. It takes one play. So when you have a bunch of guys that can do that, okay, yeah, you've fallen behind. You've given up a bunch of points in the second half. One opportunity is all it takes, and now Euclid's in a good position.
But it's funny, as much as we were talking about Jeff Rotsky and how animated he is, I wonder what McQuaid was going through right now when that kickoff return happened. I'm sure he was pulling whatever clothes he could find, you know, at the time. But, you know, I don't know. Man, it's just it's going to make for a great story if Euclid can pull this game off. But, boy, I mean, didn't see that happening. Really didn't, so.
But you know what? That's what you would expect because we've touched on it. This is an important game. Both these teams have men are left. Let's head back to the Solon and Euclid game. Euclid has the ball inside the 10-yard line.
Okay.
And there was the reason for the delay. We had an injured player on the field, so that's why we didn't go back. And you see the size of Aubrey Shabazz, number 17. That's the backup quarterback who's in there because C.J. Hale is banged up and injured. Lee is the back next to him, and there's Shabazz who's going to run and get into the end zone. So the Panthers answer right back with a long kickoff return, then Shabazz running the football, getting into the end zone. And now, you know, it'll be interesting to see. You probably, I'm guessing, go for 2 to try to push it back to a 7-point deficit.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what you have to do in this situation, because we've seen how Solon can strike quickly. But good for Euclid. Yeah. They came back, and that was a really nice play. Just very patient run to the outside and got into the end zone.
And you see there, I mean, he's substantially bigger than C.J. Hale, the other quarterback. And again, Hale, as Bryant told us earlier, was injured 3 minutes in the first quarter. So he's a playmaker, though. Hale is a playmaker. So it'll be interesting to see what the extent of that is, how long he's out. And right now, the main thing is get the win. Get the win and see what happens.
And coming in his game last week, what the issue was the stinger that Ronald Lee had. I mean, he was going to be available, considering after he put up over 200 rushing yards, which was kind of strange to me, though. But now that Euclid has scored, answered, what's Solon going to do now? And, just as quickly as they were able to score, I'd be a little concerned about that if I'm the Euclid defense. So,
yeah, I mean, you got to clearly, that defense has to get back to doing what they were doing in the first half. They didn't allow a point in the first half. And that's been the frustrating thing for Euclid's coaching staff. If they knew, it's not like, well, if you do this, it's fixed. Because if that was the case, it'd be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some things that they just have to get worked out.
If Euclid's coaching staff can just, if they pull out this win and get this here, if they can just go back and just digest everything that's happened, especially with C.J. Hale out of the game, because I'm sure that was probably a teaching moment also for Shabazz as well, putting him in that position and having to make those quarterback decisions that he hasn't been making all this week, I'm sure, at practice. I'm sure he was chilling like everyone else. Like,
okay,
in the
slot.
Let me catch the pass and, we'll get out of here and do some push-ups and go home, But at this point right now, they just want to try to get through this win, and this is an important game for them. For Euclid's standpoint, if they want to make the playoffs, they got to win this game.
Yep. Well, and same with Solon. Now Solon's got to rally again. They've spent the entire second half rallying. Now they've got to rally one more time.
So they didn't get the 2-point conversions. The 2-point conversion for Euclid failed. Solon is about to get the ball back. You see a 5-point game, 3 minutes. I am told 3 minutes remaining in the game, and Euclid will kick off, and they have pretty consistently done the squib kick in the games that I've seen them play. So I'm expecting a squib kick that will go to one of the upbacks. That seems to be their kickoff mantra. No, as I say that, he goes deep. So from the 8.
Brought out, he's got a blocker.
And brought down short of the 30. A decent return for the Comets by Andrew Mason, one of their wide receiver running back types. So we're inside of 3 minutes left. Solon, which was down 20-0 at halftime, has rallied, had the lead briefly, and now they've got to go 70 yards and they got to get it in the end zone.
Yeah, and I've seen it before. Teams that squib kick a lot, sometimes they get in this situation, they squib it, the other team gets the ball at the 40 or the 45-yard line, so Euclid kind of takes the chance to kick it deep there, and it works out.
3 wide receivers to the top. There's Wilkes. And Wilkes, about 9 yards, so second down and 1. And this is something that St. Ignatius, now granted St. Ignatius is St. Ignatius, they lined up and ran the football in the second half against Euclid and did very effectively. There's McCurry, first down at the 44-yard line. A nice throw by McCaver, nice catch by Grant McCurry, just a sophomore, and has come up big. We've seen him in the second half quite a bit, Grant McCurry. There's Caver. That one looked like it was deflected. Yeah.
And ideally, if you're Solon, you're going to score here and not leave too much time on the clock for Euclid, because we just saw how quickly they can go down the field and score.
Boy, Solon's offense, they're making Euclid just run on defense right now to get lined up. It's incredible.
This is a good opportunity for Euclid on that incomplete pass to catch their breath a little bit and not have to scramble.
The other thing to keep in mind is after a first down, if a first down is made, the clock stops while they reset the chains in high school. So There's a little zone read, and it's given to Wilkes, and that's 8 yards. That's been an effective play because the defense doesn't know whether to go to Kizer. We saw the long touchdown run by Kizer, or to stay with Wilkes. Both of them very quick. So it's and quickly to the line of scrimmage. Kizer gets it complete to McCurry, and he's tackled. That was almost disastrous. Jalen Jacobs, linebacker, tried to jump the route, and he missed it.
And the receivers are barely getting set before they snap the ball. That's how quickly they're going.
And that time, Wilkes is buried. And a nice job by Sean Jackson, the middle linebacker. Penetration, and he threw him for a loss of, looks like 4, so it'll be 2nd and 14. Now call it 5.
Euclid needed that. Euclid definitely needed that play right there because Solon was just having their way for a while there.
So while they're at the timeout, we'll come back. There are a couple things. Kizer and Wilkes on that little zone read or the read, whatever you want to call it, that's been a problem because one time Kizer pulled it and ran about 60 yards for a touchdown, and consistently Wilkes is getting 7, 8, 9 yards. The other thing is they're throwing the ball to McCurry, and I like what they're doing. They're up-tempoing so that they're getting the same look defensively. When you get to the line of scrimmage, you're forcing them to play their base defense. That's why they're getting to the line of scrimmage quickly.
And the plays are quick too. Even the passing plays are quick. They're doing a lot of horizontal offense in the passing game, and it's working. Now they did almost throw a pick. That was problematic, but it ended up being a complete pass. So it looks normal in the scorebook.
I was going through the projections for some of these games this week, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Look at 3 to the top, and they go out quickly.
Hugh Jackson
and then McCurry, he has the first down. Or no, he's inside the 40. I forgot they lost 4 or 5 yards, so now it's going to be 3rd down and 6. So that was a pretty good game. Definitely, and you've got 2 downs to make the 6 yards. McCaver, and they don't need it. They got the first down flag. That's going to be pass interference.
Everything is quick too there.
The wide receiver is shaken up.
Getting to the line quick, and the passes are coming out quick.
Trayvon Raphael is the wide receiver. It's defensive holding, so it's going to be a 5-yard penalty and a first down anyway. And that has the look of a cramp, and you certainly hope that's all it is. And they'll try to stretch them out, but clock continue, or the chains move. The clock stops while they reset it, and Comets, they're getting dangerously close where they can put it in the end zone.
And in a situation like that, I wonder who that hurts in the end. Does that hurt the Solon offense because you're kind of on a roll getting there now, or does it help the Euclid defense kind of take a breath because, as you saw, they were scrambling just trying to get to the line. So. Hope all the best for that receiver that's down right now. But, man, as for a Solon spectator, you don't want to try to stop that, engine running right now. So,
well, you do want to eat up as much of the clock as you can before you put it in the end zone without question, because we've seen that kickoff return and the quick strike offense of the Panthers. So, there's a lot you can do. Just in watching that drive, there are a number of things that you can develop off of that zone read. The zone read was working. The throw to the trip side, now you've got it to the bottom of the screen. That quick slant was working. There's the zone read base. There's Kizer, and he gets down to the 25-yard line. So it'll be pickup of about 3, 2nd down and 7. And now they switched, they just flipped the sides of the formation. Same basic formation. And that one off the mark. That was off the mark. That got out a little too quickly.
Yeah, it did. Solon maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves there. Now you're facing a 3rd down at the 25-yard line. Obviously, it's 4-down territory, so you can run anything you want here. Yeah, this Euclid player hurt.
Corey Jackson was the intended receiver on that. And again, an incompletion. And the clock will stop, but there's at that time I think they got caught up playing just a little too quickly.
So I'm just kind of curious, just ask everyone else, because we're on a 3rd down situation right now. What do you think as a coach? Where do you think if you're Jim McQuay, what decision do you make? If you don't get this 3rd down?
Oh, you're going for
it.
You're
definitely going to go for it. And the nice thing is on third down, you've got your whole playbook open to you because you are playing for 4 downs. So you can gain 3 or 4 yards on this play and set up a 4th down
You
play.
can run your zone read on this, which has been so effective. So, you know, there's 2 things. One, that bunch formation, they didn't adjust to that where they threw the little screen to the wide receiver. That's something that you look at. And the other thing you look at is the zone read, because Kizer and Wilkes are probably your 2 most dynamic playmakers. So make the defense decide which one they want to take away, and then you go, you know, it's a read. If they look like they're playing, if the end's playing the running back, I pull it and I run. If he's playing me, I let the running back take it.
Yeah, I mean,
those are the 2.
They've got that thing down. You can just tell. And if you're going to get 8 or 9 yards a run, every time you put that out there, that's even better than some of these passes they're throwing out to the sideline, because they aren't throwing downfield right now. You know, I don't know, maybe on third down you do take a shot because you know you have 4th down. I don't think they will. But maybe if they were going to take a shot at the end zone, this would be the time to do it.
It all depends on what the assistant coaches have seen up in the booth that are usually sitting next to us doing the game.
This 3 lineman formation again, so they're going quickly.
They go the opposite side to Jackson, and a nice tackle right near the line of scrimmage by Damian Brown. So let's bring up a 4th down.
Here's the game.
We're going to have a Solon Comet timeout.
And Solon's going to have to call a timeout. They're inside the 25, so it's going to be 4th down and about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So you want to be a head coach.
I wouldn't want to even be a coach in this game. It's a tight game.
I certainly I don't want to be the offensive coordinator. I want to be sitting defensively saying, hey, we did our job.
Now the challenge is you know, the zone read isn't as much in effect. Now you may see them, you know, now if based on how Kizer is, you pump fake the little bubble and you send one of those guys and you hope that the guy playing deep takes a step or 2 in, because you've got enough athletes that anybody takes a step or 2 in, you've got a guy that can get by him.
Yeah, you want to you'd love to get to the end zone here, but the key, you know, first goal is get the 1st down. If somebody happens, like you said, to maybe get by and get a touchdown, you'll certainly take that. But I'm curious to see what Euclid does. Do they bring pressure? Here we go.
There's Kizer, and he's going to take that shot into the end zone. Double coverage, and it's picked off. And that is
go down.
Yeah, safe or a touchback rather. And so the big play is made for the Euclid Panthers, and coming up with that was Job Rand, one of their safeties. Well, we're going to step aside and take a quick timeout as Week 7 is wrapping up rapidly across the Buckeye State, along with Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, Nate Cline from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back here on Spectrum Sports and cleveland.com.
This city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mara!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Now he shoots it!
What you live for lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to the Lake Blue Streak Stadium. I'm Jacob Scafidi, where the North Canton Hoover Vikings had defeated the Lake Blue Streaks 51-21. Hoover started off the second half by a rushing touchdown by senior Luke Rukowski. Lake then got the ball back, and they fumbled on their first play. Then the Hoover's offense got the ball back, and Luke Rukowski scored another touchdown. Then Lake got the ball back again, fumbled it again. Luke Rukowski, another touchdown. Lake then got the ball back, another fumble. Luke Rukowski, another touchdown. Lake's next possession, interception. Hoover brought in their backup quarterback, freshman Connor Ashby. He then proceeded to have a 45-yard QB draw for a touchdown. Lake, however, did get the ball back and score a touchdown, but it was basically already over. Hoover's defense stepped up big in the second half this week. Lake's again didn't show. It'll be interesting to see how Hoover carries this victory over into next week's game against the Green Bulldogs and how Lake looks to improve next week against the Perry Panthers. Until next week, good night.
Jacob Scafidi, our student reporter from North Canton Hoover. It's that time of the night, the time that everybody waits for, the plays that require one more view, our top 15 plays. Remember, you can head to cleveland.com and vote on these plays, and we will have the voting order from which you vote on them next week in the show. So without further ado, It is the top 15 plays. Checking in at number 15, North Royalton's Joey Morosic. He finds Miles Strannon, 25 yards for the touchdown, but Wadsworth wins 61-28.
That is a perfect throw and catch. Number 14, Hoban's Tyrus Dickerson. This is an 11-yard touchdown run. We're going to have more from this game coming up later.
Check out number 13's Nordonia's Robbie Levock to Brandon O'Donnell with his 21-yard TD pass. Finds his way to the end zone. More from this game later.
Number 12, Solon's JT Kizer at quarterback. And he gets it to Grant McCurry. McCurry, nice cutback. He's going to take it 38 yards for the touchdown pass. More on this game later.
Number 11, Tippecanoe Colt Barhorst, a 57-yard touchdown run. Pure power through the line. And Tippecanoe, we're not finished with you. We're coming back to you later.
Low center of gravity.
Now check out Trotwood's Markel Stevens Peppers to Dallas Daniels for this 73-yard touchdown. Check that out. The Rams win big over Fairborn, 76-6.
Number 9, Canton McKinley's Javon Lewis. In the pile, out of the pile. 30 yards for the touchdown. McKinley wins it 35-23 over Jackson.
Number 8, Solon JT Kizer to Trevon Raphael. This is a 45-yard touchdown. Look at that, breaking tackles,
wow.
Getting blockers in front of him, pointing at the defender, into the end zone. More from this one later as Euclid wins.
Okay, I'm going to take you back here to Thursday night. Sydney tied with Tippecanoe 42-42. It's 4th and 1 deep in their own territory. And with less than 2 minutes to play, take a look at Isaiah Bowser with this 73-yard touchdown run. Sydney wins 49-42. Get it, big man.
Where's the safety?
It's a fun game.
Number 6, Robbie Levac rolls out, pressured. Oh, rolls back the other way. Throws, and he finds Ty Evans. Evans finds the end zone. 16 yards. Nordonia wins it 30-27 over Brecksville.
We go to the top 5, and we lead it with St. X Chase Wolf. They had a big night. He's going to find Andrew Whitrock for 61 yards. Plenty of green space to run there. St. Xavier rolls over LaSalle 42-7.
Take a look at the youngster at number 4, Hoban Shane Ham to Garrett Hauser for this 62-yard touchdown pass. Take a look at that. That touchdown helped Hoban win 49-10 over Padua.
Number 3, Euclid backup quarterback Aubrey Shabazz to Javon Owens. Roll, nice catch. 18 yards on the touchdown. Euclid wins this one.
Number 2, we're sticking with this game. Lots of plays from this game. Solon's JT Kizer on the quarterback keeper, and he's going to take it 45 yards to give Solon the lead, but it would not last. They lose 33-28 to the Panthers.
All right, and look at number 1 here. Take a look at this really quick. Dublin Jerome's Hayden Schill to Ryan Keys. He bobbles the ball, gathers it down to the 6. Oh, look at it. Wow. What concentration. Dublin Jerome wins 34-13 over Delaware Hayes. Great attention to that, my man. Great attention.
All right.
That would have hurt a whole lot more if he didn't come up with that on the rebound.
That's
he
true.
Took
Ryan
a tumble
Keys,
there.
look at those hands.
All right.
Edelman-like.
We want you to submit top plays to us. Hashtag FNH top plays. We'll use them in our top plays. FNH top plays. You saw the 15. You can go to cleveland.com starting at noonish tomorrow. Vote on them. We expect you to vote. Go and vote. You can vote more than once. You can vote as much as you like.
Tippecanoe represent.
Tippecanoe.
On there, Sydney as well. 49-40. I mean, that looked like it was a fun game. Yeah. Lots of big plays and all sorts of stuff. That's the first time we've seen either of those teams, I think, so far in our top 15.
Yeah, I mean, great concentration right there from Ryan Keys to hang on to that football because I was like, there's no way he's going to. And sure enough, he brought it back in. So, yeah, some great plays again this week. And you can also make sure you check the winner from last week as well, from week 6.
Well, we've talked a little bit about Hoban, and they showed up big time against previously unbeaten Padua. Our Matt Goul was there and had a chance to talk to some of the Knights about their performance against Padua tonight.
What got into you guys today?
I don't really know. I mean, before the game, we talked a lot. We were very fired up, and our coach talked about all week how this team was 6-0, and they're definitely gonna give it their all. And I don't know, we came out last week. I'm sure everyone saw it. We started out really bad. So we fumbled the ball 6 times, something like that. So we knew this week we had to come out, and like our coach was saying to us, there was no questions asked about us. So no one thought we were gonna win, and so we came out and we were ready to go. And I feel like they didn't come out as fired up as we did. So I think that was one of the big problems they had, and we just kept going and we didn't stop. And it was one of the best starts I think that we've had in a game. This is my 4 years playing here, so it was a great time.
They played you guys pretty well last year, if I remember right.
They do. At the first half, I remember that game. It was the first half. We only scored 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns, something like that. But the second half, we scored 30 points, something like that. And last year, we were a really strong second half team, thanks to the weight room and our strength and conditioning coaches. So yeah.
Wanted to speak of that. Wanted to ask you about this line. What's different about this line this year?
This year, we are very experienced. We have 3 starters. Started last year, and Nolan and I, we played together for all the years that he's been here, all I've been here. So, and we're really strong next to the weight room again. We just dominate.
So the Hoban Knights, a big win over the Padua Bruins. Ryan Isley was covering the Canton McKinley win over Massillon Jackson, and he caught up with one of the Bulldogs who was growling, Javon Lewis. Take it away, Ryan.
You guys, to get the running game going, how important was that in a game like this?
It was a big thing, last week we didn't really run the ball that well, and it just motivated me to come out here and run my hardest.
I got to ask you about the 30-yarder. When it looked like the play was dead, and you just kind of bounced off a defender, and next thing I know, you're gone. What was going through your mind on that run, and once you got into the middle?
Once I ran, I seen the end kind of press so crazy. I seen the cutback lane, I just hit it.
Were you surprised defensively that you, again with their defense, that you were able to get the runs that you were able to get tonight, the holes that you had?
A little bit. The media, they kind of pumped their head up a little bit. I just wanted to prove them wrong. But, it would never happen without the linemen we have, Javon King, CEO, Orlando Hampton, Rick Simmons, T-Mac.
Talk a little bit about your defense as well. I mean, this is a high-scoring Jackson football team. Yes, your defense came out, held them to just 17, and allowed you guys to eventually get ahead and pull away.
Once again, media, they kept saying, what's the quarterback's name again?
Jarrett Blada?
Yeah, Jarrett Blada. That's all we heard, how good of an arm he had, how great receivers, Our DBs, they don't take that. We want to prove them wrong.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you got a pretty good one yourself.
Yes, sir. That's one in the Federal League.
What does he mean to this football team on the offensive side?
He means a lot. He's a junior, kind of young, but you can't tell if you ain't know. It keeps me going. When I fumble, he told me, "Come on, you good, keep pushing." I listen.
So there you have it. Javon Lewis says the McKinley Bulldogs defeat Jackson, and they remain undefeated on the season, in pretty good shape in Division I, Region 1. We're going to step aside, take one more final timeout before we put a wrap on Week 7 of high school football here in the state of Ohio, along with Nate Cline from cleveland.com, Dan Labbe from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. We'll be right back on Friday Night Huddle.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to auth-ctoke-auth and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle as we get set to wrap up Week 7 of high school football all across the state. One of the upsets, if you will, is the Nordonia Knights get their first win of the season, and that win really hurts Brecksville's playoff chances in Division II. I won't say it knocks them out of it, but it certainly, with what they have coming up, it makes the hill a little steeper for the Bees.
Mayfield, Twinsburg, and Copley, I think those are the three teams I mentioned earlier. Those are probably going to be the biggest cheerleaders tonight that's, rooting on Nordonia to win that game. And obviously they were able to pull out a win. So first of all, congratulations to the Knights.
Yep, get off the zero.
Yep. Now the Bees.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. I mean, any loss, is going to hurt, but definitely, especially for, playoff hopes that you're trying to gear for, this does not help. And, I'm sure they're going to go back in the locker room and figure out what's going to happen in Week 8 here.
They're going to need to come up with a win maybe they thought was going to be a little tougher. Let's take a look at some scores as we put a wrap on Week 7. You see Canton McKinley put 35 points on the board.
Think they got a chip on their shoulder?
A little bit.
We just
little bit of one.
Before the break there.
What's the quarterback's name? Oh, that would be Jared Pilata. He's going to UMass, but Hoban, no problem at all. And look at Wadsworth. 60 again. They're outscoring the basketball team over there.
Yeah.
So 61-28. Barberton. How about those Barberton Magic? They stay unbeaten as they beat St. Vincent-St. Mary 35-14. And we tracked the Euclid and Solon game. So Solon down 20-0. They end up taking the lead 28-27. Euclid comes back, takes the lead, and then Solon can't convert. On a fourth down, they throw an interception in the end zone, trying to win that game late in it. Lorain just keeps rolling along. Now, remember, they're in Division I Region 2, so they're not in the stacked region with, St. Ed, St. Ignatius, Canton McKinley. We saw really Orange. Look at Bay, 51-0. Hoover puts 51 on the board, but the one that's maybe the biggest shocker of the night is St. Xavier 42-7 over LaSalle.
28 in the first quarter.
Yeah, 42-7. We saw that long touchdown pass. All right, so guys, what grabs your attention? Which of those things really get you going, and Nate wants to go first.
Oh no, you know I'm always going to butt in front.
Nate, go ahead.
No, actually, I think it's
steal my thunder.
No,
here.
I actually think it's going to be a game you're probably not projecting. I'm going to go with this Orange and West Geauga game actually, because Orange is in a good position right now with the playoffs. We're looking at their number 8, number 14 right now, and you know, if there were any questions or just just about kind of the talent level coming out of Orange, I think it also helped in this game tonight. And right now they're still holding on to that playoff spot, so good for them right now. So I think that was probably the game that stood out to me here.
That was not the game I was going to
Good.
You should have said it is anyway, though.
Barberton winning again. I mean, we've been tooting their horn all season long. Every single week that I've been on this show, we've talked about Barberton over and over and over again, and this is the reason why, because they take on St. Vincent-St. Mary, and they beat them by 21 points. Just significant wins, stacking good week after good week. This team, it's hard to say that they're not for real after everything we've seen from them here 7 weeks into the season.
Well, when we've talked about this a little bit, when I had the chance to talk to them before the season started, what they wanted to see was physical play in the line. If you go in and you beat Aurora and you beat Copley and you beat St. Vincent-St. Mary, you don't beat those teams unless you're being physical up front. So Coach Gatto is getting what he wants up front. They knew they had the skill position guys and the quarterback to make it work, but they're getting the play from the big guys up front. And they're kind of getting to that point where, okay, we want to win a couple of playoff games and see how far we can go.
And they've got the again, efficient quarterback play, playmakers, athletes, physicality. They've got the formula to make life difficult for somebody in the playoffs and maybe win a couple games.
I think I know you're eventually going to close out here, but I think lastly that Solon Euclid game, I think that's going to probably speak some volumes as well in Region 1. But definitely Euclid to be able to hold on and win that game considering everything else that went on the second half, and losing C.J. Hale, I think was a good win for them. And now they're going to have to figure out make some decisions come week 8.
Yeah, and the other one that stands out for me was the 42-7 win by St. Xavier. St. Xavier is on a collision course with St. Ignatius. They will play over at Byers Field in Week 9. So St. Ignatius has Glen Oak tomorrow. You can see that game on Spectrum Sports. They have Moeller in Columbus at Otterbein the following week. Then they have St. Xavier at Byers Field in Week 9, and then they finish with St. Ed. So that's just a brutal way to finish. Oh, and then the playoffs start.
Yeah, right.
And Dave, don't leave that out. I mean, Ignatius and Xavier did play in the state final last year, and that went to double overtime, I believe.
Double overtime.
And so you're exactly right. That's the way the picture is being painted right now.
Well, and they played the same thing. They played in Cincinnati in Week 8 last year, and St. Ignatius beat them up. They didn't have their starting quarterback. St. Xavier didn't, and when they got him back, they were able to win in double overtime. We're going to step aside, take one more time out here on Friday Night Huddle, and we will come back and preview what is ahead in Week 8, along with Dan Labbe and Nate Cline from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back.
Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview, the can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview, Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle, Week 7, quickly becoming part of the books as far as Friday night goes. Of course, there's some Saturday night games as well. We look ahead to Week 8, and there's some interesting matchups, along with Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, Nick Cline from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Let's take a look at some of the interesting matchups that are ahead in Week 8. Thursday night, Hudson and Stowe. And you can see that one right here on Spectrum Sports Live. And then Menor and Solon. That one's going to be very critical for the Comets.
Yep.
Two
big rivalry games, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those teams every year put on good shows.
Moeller and St. Ignatius. That one's going to be in Columbus. And Padua and Benedictine, both teams coming off pretty significant losses. Benedictine had that big win over NDCL, and then they lost tonight against Lake Catholic, so that helps Lake Catholic out quite a bit. And then Barberton plays another tough game. Talmadge is a team that has surprised some people. They got one loss, and that's the core of kids that won a state championship in baseball this year. Yeah. So a lot of guys that are used to playing on the big stage. Different sport, granted, but there's something about being competitors that you enjoy about that.
Yeah, they're kind of getting back to the Talmadge football that made them so successful, a number of years back. They don't score a ton of points. They run the ball, but they're still a very dangerous team. Menor plays tomorrow, so we'll see kind of where they're at. They play Shaker Heights on Saturday. But if they're sitting at 6-1, that's a big game for Solon.
Yep.
And it's always interesting when those two teams meet too. Same with Hudson and Stowe. With those two matchups, it's just always really interesting to see those teams play, no matter where they are in the standings. And those games are important for all four teams.
And they're usually pretty good games as well. You can never. The coaches know each other well enough that you know exactly what's going to happen, and it comes down to can they be where they need to be to make the plays.
Yeah, and Hudson and Stowe especially always play it so close to the vest when they play each other. So you're probably looking, unless one team just goes crazy and blows the other team out in a surprise, you're probably looking at a 17-14 game or a 20-17 game.
Stowe Hudson's last year National Division champions, co-champions, so that's going to be a good game. The Menor and Solon game, I'm just really curious what Solon team we're going to see in that week, because Menor has been very strong, I'm sure here. And then lastly, that Barberton-Talmadge game, the reason why I like that Barberton one is because right now they are in a position to probably lock up their Suburban League title. So a win next week would, go a long way. So
yeah, and the other thing they're starting to think about is, okay, let's get a home playoff game. They're pretty strongly locked into that playoff spot. If they keep winning, they're going to have a home game, which that's huge. That and that was another thing that Coach Gatto was kind of focusing on is, guys, if we don't let one slip away, they let the Copley game slip away, they felt last year. And they felt that made them go on the road in week 1. So lesson learned, Don't let any of these slip away.
Yeah, and coming into this week, Barberton was the 4th seeded team in their region, which means they would host a game right now. But now with the Benedictine loss, they could move up into that number 3 spot. But then looking ahead of you, you got Hudson and Archbishop Hoban, which is hard to kind of believe that they're going to kind of give up those spots. So, so whatever Barberton can do, kind of help their case, they can try to do it in week 8 here.
The one thing I'll say about Hudson has Stowe and Wadsworth left on their schedule. Those are 2 of their toughest games, and I think Twinsburg is the other one. But those are 2 of their toughest games coming up.
And, going back to Talmadge, this is their toughest stretch of games, too, with Barberton 7-0, Highland 6-1, both Division II teams. The other toughest team they've played record-wise has been Coventry. That's a Division III.
Right.
So a good opportunity for 6-1 Talmadge to kind of see what they're made of.
Is it too early to hang your hat on the Joey Boffman Offensive Player of the Year in Suburban League and maybe Barberton as the most improved? I don't know.
Joey Boffman, you got to like what you've seen.
61 points tonight or something?
Yes.
And then they took their foot off the gas, too, to get to 61.
Well,
so they were at 48 at halftime.
Right. And that's kind of the way that works. If you're Jeff Rotsky, you got to be happy with the way your Euclid Panthers responded. That could have been a crushing loss, and you found a way to not make it so.
And on the new field, too.
Yeah.
Goodness. I mean, you got out with a win. Now I think they just need to come back in the week and just say, okay, where are we at right now with our quarterback situation right now, and what do we need to do to get ready for next week, which is going to be another conference opponent they're going to have to face. So.
And, if they are going to have to change quarterbacks here, it's something Coach Ratsky has done before.
Right.
He's dealt with this in the past, so he knows how to deal with this. And the bottom line is with Euclid, it starts with Ronald Lee.
Right.
Over 1,000 yards already. As long as they have him, they're going to be able to go up against anyone. It's just going to be about finishing games. And they were able to come back and steal that win away tonight.
Yeah, and Coach Rotsky will turn it into a positive, and what he'll do is the offense will get tweaked a little bit, and he'll spring something on whomever is coming if, in fact, Aubrey Chabaz has to take over for C.J. Hale. Well, we are done. Week 7 is in the books for Friday night. There's some games on Saturday, but we will be back next week right here on Friday Night Huddle. For Nate Cline from cleveland.com, Dan Labbe from cleveland.com, I'm Dave Bacon. Have a great week. Remember, Stowe and Hudson on Spectrum Sports, live Thursday night.
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum Sports. By Dominion East Ohio. Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions.
The fall sports are officially in tournament mode. Football teams are gearing up for that playoff run. We're always ready for the postseason. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
On today's show, we'll talk with 2 of the best soccer players in Northeast Ohio, one who scores goals and the other one who stops them. Plus, we've got a team that's bringing magic to the football field, and we'll shake it up in Shaker Heights with some Raiders who are in beast mode.
We begin tonight on the gridiron. The Brush Arcs have their sights set on the state football playoffs for just the 3rd time in school history. A key to their run will be the play of quarterback Godwin Joe. Joe is putting up video game-like numbers for yards passing, yards rushing, and touchdowns. Without question, Godwin Joe is the engine that makes the Brush High Arcs high-powered offense go. We're proud to salute Brush High's Godwin Joe, this week's Spectrum Sports Game Breaker.
We're a spread system, and our offense is run through the quarterback. And when you got the guy back there to be a signal caller and make the choices to get the ball out to 5 very good athletes in space and be able to get those guys involved in the offense, he's kind of like the point guard, if you want to use a basketball analogy.
Watch Jeff Fink's Brush offense go to work, and you can understand why the basketball analogy works so well. The Arcs are putting up better than 40 points a game and have gone over 50 in half of their games this year.
Sometimes it feels so easy just to score the ball. You know, we just spread the ball out, get it to our athletes, and once they want to spread out and they leave that box open, I'm just going to take off. But like I said, it's a very fun system to play in.
Fun unless you're trying to defend quarterback Godwin Joe, that is. He's usually the best athlete on the field and always the focal point of the Arcs offense. Joe is closing in on 30 touchdowns accounted for this season.
He's got a chance to be a 1,000-yard rusher as well as throw for about 2,000 yards. So he's a dual-threat athlete, and when that presents a lot of problems to a defense, whether they want to load the box up or spread guys out. He can make them pay.
Leadership and decision-making is the most important characteristic for a quarterback. Without leadership and decision-making, especially in this offense, things can turn bad real quickly, and it runs to the quarterback, like Coach said. So as long as I'm making good decisions and I'm being a leader out there, our team's running smoothly.
The biggest growth we've seen him is his ability to stay in the pocket. And Coach Goody, our quarterback's coach, has done a great job working with him on his feet in the pocket. And, you know, looking at the last 2 years, he wasn't much of a pocket passer. And now, since he's put that into his tool belt a little bit, that's been a difference maker and allowed him to throw the ball downfield.
Joe admits he's worked hard on his ability to throw the ball downfield with his quarterback coach, but he's also quick to credit his wide receivers.
Sometimes they bail me out when I make a bad read, and they can just go up and just make a good play. And, you know, sometimes the other way I have to talk to them and they got to talk to me, but it's fun, and we all love each other, and we all play hard as a team. But like I said, we just got to get better.
I was laughing today, he sent out a tweet about being a person of impact. And that's what we build our program around, is trying to see them to see the value of change they can make in their communities. And he's a guy that has bought into it and understands that he's an unbelievable young man.
Meanwhile, the playoffs begin next week for high school soccer teams. The Strongsville girls are on a roll this year, and the Mustangs are expected to make a long run with Lorain Rakitiak leading the charge. Rakitiak wasn't always the best player in Strongsville, but she put in the hard work, and now she's one of the best players in the country. Let's meet Lorain Rakitiak, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. She is one of the best soccer players in the country, and Lorain Rakitiak is the most gracious kid ever.
Credit to her parents for bringing her up the right way, but she's one of those kids that would come up to you after practice every single time from the time she was 6 or 7 years old and just say thank you, which means an awful lot.
The grateful forward has always been a hard worker too, but at first, Rakitiak wasn't the best player in the Strongsville system.
I wasn't anything when I was younger. I'd look up to the girls that played before me and be like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be at their level or anything.
She wasn't necessarily the best player on her team growing up all the time. So a kid like that, she was just motivated to work.
She trained on her own and played club soccer too. After an amazing junior season, Lorain was named first team All-State and then an All-American.
Coach Church actually called me, and I tried not to scream on the phone. I remember I was like, oh, thanks, like that's such great news.
400, 500,000 girls that play high school soccer in our country, and that list is 51 kids. So that's a pretty small percentage that get to that level. It's a great honor.
Rakitiak is the 12th All-American to play for Strongsville. Now, she is a senior teaching the kids.
I just remember when I would play, I would look up to Danielle Hubka, the Myers, the greats that like went before me, and like how much it meant to me when I would go and like train with them.
Since she will play soccer at Kent State next year, everyone in the Mustangs program wants to say thank you to Lorain Rakitiak.
It's my time to be a senior, like with all my friends who I've grown up with my whole entire life. I've played alongside them, so it's honestly, I'm so grateful for that.
And of course, after our interview, Lorain said to me, thank you. Great soccer player, even better kid.
We're just getting things revved up on this week's show. We'll check in on some Red Raiders who are riding high again and some magic on the football field. High School Sports Insider will be right back.
There is a place where dreams arise. Stars are born. And greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
I've got a 4-year degree.
I wasn't really able to find a job despite putting out over 100 applications, so I decided to go back to school. You know, Tri-C really did change my life. After getting my degree from Tri-C, I'm working in the IT field. I work at a job I love. Life is good, thanks to Tri-C. My name is Josh Gatka, and I received my IT degree from Tri-C.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for hopping on board. Impressive wins over Copley and Aurora, the only two teams that beat Barberton a season ago, have the Magic thinking about a return trip to the state football playoffs. Impressive when you consider last year was the first year Barberton made football's postseason since back in 1998. Anthony Gatta was a player for Barberton in the 90s. He's now a head coach determined to restore the pride in Barberton football. We have an all-access look at the Barberton Magic.
You know, being able to impact in the community that you grew up in is awesome.
You don't pick him up. It would be the back would pick him up. Okay. And for some reason, he slid off inside here.
I knew the main thing was to get a great staff, which I was able to do. I always tell my staff I'm only as good as they are.
He's heading up on you. You got to think you're getting him.
Even if
there's no inside. This is you're basically going to get him.
Obviously, getting the kids to buy in. I did know the community pretty well. I wasn't too worried about that. So, you know, having the kids buy into what we were going to do, and that really was just to get bigger, faster, and stronger. Spend those off seasons, you know, pumping iron. You know, this senior class is the class that was coming in as ninth graders. They really bought in. They've always been the class that had the most kids in the weight room, and the dedication and determination they had. I mean, the weights that they put up in the weight room are unbelievable.
Hey, contact here. Stay off the legs. Stay off the legs.
I want it to be contagious. You know, these freshmen coming in. You know, some of these kids don't understand, you know, what it takes to be good at something. You hope that leadership that these seniors have had for 4 years rubs off in some of my other ones, and that's what keeps it going for, you know, continued success.
Yeah, good. All right, we're okay. Hey, make sure we finish those blocks.
Maybe we can, you know, go deeper in the playoffs and grow each week. I tell the kids, once you make to the playoffs, you know, it's just about playing good football, who's healthy, and hopefully the ball rolls your way a couple times.
Ready, hit.
Football is a sport that these kids get to play, an opportunity, and Key kind of mentioned it. You know, it helps them evolve into men. You know, the decisions they make. I try to bring discipline, and there's consequences if you're late to practice. There's consequences if you don't show up to practice.
How good is he? He's pretty good. You got to step harder than that.
I think the kids understand that I do try to stay consistent with them, and I'm hoping that they learn a lot of things that are going to take them and make them more successful young men, and some of the habits they learn playing the game of football.
Pretty good. Those of you that are getting bumps and bruises, hey, know the difference between being injured and bumps and bruises. There might be a couple of you that need to toughen up.
It's a physical game. The more physical, you know, team, you know, is usually going to prevail. We have great athletes out here in Barberton that can do a lot of things. But to me, mainly, you know, if we can win in the trenches, you're going to win games.
Hey, Billy on me. 1, 2, 3.
Coming in and then buying into what we're doing, you know, we have a trust in each other kind of relationship where, you know, we can have fun and kind of mess around with each other and have pretty solid relationships, especially in the off-season in the weight room.
It's a time-honored tradition in high school sports. A team will pick a motto or slogan to get fired up for the season. We've heard a lot of them over the years, but the Shaker Heights field hockey team has come up with one of my favorites. In their quest for another catchphrase and another state championship, we salute the Raiders as our team of the week. When Shaker Heights plays field hockey, the Raiders go into beast mode.
We, the coaching staff, wanted the girls to kind of have an edge to them, and we started with the beast mode. They played a physical, hard game, and it wasn't dirty, it was just physical.
Going all out, all for it, all for the ball. You want to win, the goal is to win, and you're doing everything you can to win, and you're in that zone.
When we got on the bus to go to Columbus that weekend for state finals,
we got t-shirts that said Beast Mode, and it pumped all of us up a lot.
After finishing as a state runner-up last year, Shaker had to replace 7 starters who graduated.
We have a lot to live up to since our past seniors who left, Megan Mitchell, for example. She went to a great college, D1, so it's a lot to live up to, so we have very high expectations here.
A lot of our girls do indoor as well, so we're also practicing off-season, and like we travel, like a lot of girls are traveling out of state to stuff, going to big tournaments.
Conditioning, fitness, stick work, and we really just wanted to pick up right where we stopped and to get back where we were.
Shaker is looking for its 10th trip to the state championship game, and to get there, this year's slogan is to rise and grind.
The coaches so much, they definitely push you just enough that you want to work really hard for them, but they also know when it's time to back off and let you do your own thing. It's awesome to be part of such a strong program that consistently is bringing out strong teams and strong players, but this is really nice to have a great, strong program to be part of. It's awesome to be able to say that I'm on the Shaker field hockey team.
Yeah, I feel like it's our fuel for this year. We really want to get back there. That feeling is really nice to have, and we just want to go out there and finish what we started.
That's the theme this year, is working as a team, working as a unit, being a family, and getting through each game and every minute together.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. I know, what a deal. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Still to come, our shining star is finally getting her chance in the spotlight on the soccer field and in school. Plus, we'll travel to the Big Easy for this week's Insider Classic. Stay tuned.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can.
Get someone the cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can. Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
The High School Sports Insider continues with one of the oldest sayings around: defense wins championships. It's especially true in soccer, where there's not a lot of scoring, period. The girls at Gilmore are trying to defend their state title this fall, and they have senior Megan Miller back to anchor the D once again. She's quiet and won't brag about her skills. That's our job. Today we honor Megan Miller as our Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. Megan Miller is an unsung hero, and she prefers it that way.
I'm pretty quiet. I think most people would describe me that way. I've always been, but on the field, I'm, I guess, louder.
Miller lets her play do the talking. Over the last 4 years, she has been Gilmore's sweeper, the leader of the defense.
You know, right from day one of Megan's freshman year, I could tell she had a special quality about her on the defensive side of the ball. And I didn't hesitate to throw her in at sweeper even as a freshman, which is a high-pressure position.
It's the sweeper's job to clean up any messes and get all the through balls, and you're really the last defender before the goalie, so that's my job on the field.
She puts a lot of pressure on herself to do her job. But fortunately, her 4.1 GPA makes the job easier.
Especially, playing sweeper, you need to have a lot of composure and always know where you need to be and what's your next move. And I think it kind of just helps me think through the game.
Get not only herself but her teammates in the right spots, where they need to be, when they need to be there, and just reading the game and recognizing what the other team is trying to do and shutting that down.
Last year, Megan and her defensive teammates put on a clinic, giving up only 12 goals in 23 games with 13 shutouts. as the Lancers won the Division II state championship in double overtime, the first title in school history.
Yeah, it was the best feeling. That's every soccer player's dream, is to play at Crew Stadium and win a state championship. And it was like pretty unbelievable to think going into that we hadn't even won a district title or anything like that.
She's never been big into accolades, but Megan Miller certainly deserves them.
All my teammates appreciate it, and just like I appreciate all of them, so that's all that really matters.
If you know a student who shines in the classroom, like Megan, you should send in a nomination. It's easy. Just go to ohiolottery.com. At the top of the page, find the tab that's marked Supporting Education, and that's where you'll find all the info.
Each week on the show, we take a look back at a student we featured who's gone on to success at the college, professional, sometimes even international levels. Ted Ginn Jr. is in his 11th NFL season playing for the Saints this year. Ginn has already played in 2 Super Bowls. He was the first-round draft pick of the Miami Dolphins in 2007 after starring at Ohio State. It was pretty evident at Glenville High School that Ted Ginn Jr. had talent, and it's good to see he's made the most of it. This week, Ted Ginn Jr. from Glenville becomes a classic. Every time Glenville quarterback Ted Ginn Jr. touches the ball, opponents get a little nervous. Ginn is the type of athlete that can cause defenses to break down in a hurry.
Certain plays, I know where the cutback should be, or, what I'm saying, sometimes I'll read off my blocks, and sometimes I just make moves that I don't even know what I'm doing.
But Ginn's slick moves as a quarterback and a runner aren't what has college recruiters drooling. It's his ability on the other side of the ball. Ginn is one of the most sought-after high school cornerbacks in the country.
Trying to go to the next level, you got to be able to come up and hit and be able to cover and open your hips and stuff like that. So, I was mainly on this season was coming up and hitting and rapping and, making plays.
Whenever he's touched the ball, Ginn has been a threat to score. He's returned 3 punts and a kickoff for touchdowns, and he's brought back an amazing 5 interceptions for scores.
It's basically natural now, it's little things I have to still work on, but, I know when they come up and knock down the ball and they run in front of it, it's, it's just all a read, kind of.
He's amazing, because it's all about everybody else. It's not about him, and I think he get that from me because of what the program asks for, and that's the way he lives. He think for him to be successful, he think he have to give back, and he give back on the field. He give back when he's, when he score a touchdown, he want everybody else to be happy, not him.
All is not just football for the Ginns. Ted Jr., like his teammates, is required to be an active part of the inner city community they call home.
It's good for me to, I like to be a teacher. That's probably what I'm going to major in, so it's good to have a little experience with that, so it was cool.
A spot in the U.S. Army's All-American Bowl All-Star Game is awaiting Ginn at the end of the season, and several big football powerhouses, including Ohio State, Southern Cal, and Tennessee, are knocking on his door. But something other than football may enter into his college decision.
And your champion from Glenville, Theodore Ginn Jr.
Ginn anchored Glenville's sprint medley relay team. This summer, they set a national high school record at a meet in Raleigh, North Carolina. Ted will begin training for track after the football season ends, with his eye on the Olympic trials.
They go hand in hand. Track and football, I could do well in both sports, so I'm going to try to. There's going to come a time where I'm going to have to make a decision, but for now, I'm just going to do both.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your pictures showing your school spirit, and we'll use them in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
Let's stick around. The tweets of the week are coming up next.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I decided to go to Tri-C because it was easy to commute to.
I was able to start Kent State as a junior. All my credits from Tri-C transferred to Kent State. I will be able to earn my bachelor's degree in 4 years. I saved a lot of money starting at Tri-C. My name is Stephanie Bain, and I earned my first degree at Cuyahoga Community College.
Thanks for riding shotgun with us on the High School Sports Insider as we head down that final turn of this week's show. It's your turn to take the wheel and steer us for the last few minutes. As always, we want to know what's on your mind. A few rules. You have to use 140 characters or less. Better yet, just send a picture. Time for the tweets of the week. Willoughby South's Kareem Hunt continues to impress in his rookie season. His jersey on display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame after Kareem equaled an NFL record for most touchdowns scored by a player in his first 3 games. Magnificat's golfers headed into the Hazard to celebrate winning sectionals. In Avon, it's a scarecrow contest getting ready for Halloween. The Eagles' offense has been downright frightening this year. Scarecrow Bob is definitely ready. And congrats to Zach Kreft of Buckeye Valley. He put up a 14-minute, 29.95-second time at the Midwest Meet of Champions, the fastest time in the country this year. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or your pictures showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio, and we'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. Now we are all out of time on this week's show. I want to thank you for making the time in your busy schedule to join us, and we expect to see you back here next week. Same time, same place, when again we'll have more of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
And as always, thanks for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.
There is a place where dreams arise, stars are born, and greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
So I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.